Isn't this a sports show?
1999, Mike Maslowski,
Yep,
who I believe
linebacker.
came to the aforementioned high school that I played football at.
Yes.
One day, randomly, I don't know.
Went on to star in Monsters, Inc.
Almost entirely.
I broke Josh.
I can't do this radio show anymore.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I simply can't. These are hostile work conditions. I can't be forced to work like this. I can't be forced to work like this. I am just sitting back in my chair staring at the sky hoping that God's hand comes through the ceiling and takes me home.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
I think the reputation of this show, because of you, Rudy, has
Increased?
been... No, I think, Rudy, that
Trending up?
the reputation of the show, because of you, has been sullied.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Are we even allowed to do party poppers on Wednesdays?
Woo! Try to stop us. Woo! Oh, some got in my eye. That hurts.
Please don't try to stop us. We'll actually just stop ourselves.
My eye burns a little bit.
What happened there, Rudy? What do you think
I don't
happened?
know. Like some of the smoke, I think, just got in my eye.
Straight in
like,
your eyes.
Right to the eye.
All right. Well, I mean,
That hurt a little bit.
I can't
I'm
think of
all
a
right.
better way to kick off a new edition of Almost Entirely Sports here tonight on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Joshua Brisco. My eyes are fine, although I got a little bit of a runny nose. I don't know. I don't know if we're in cold season right now.
Dang cold weather.
I don't know what's going on there. I do know that cold weather doesn't cause colds and that's a myth. But
Not a myth.
whatever gets Rudy through the day. And that's Rudy Salazar. He's got smoke in his eyes, but hopefully we'll be able to power through the next 3 hours of Almost Entirely Sports tonight. And we will we'll have some help along the way. We'll talk to our dear friend Kent Swanson of the KC Sports Network here in about 20 minutes. He's going to be on in the first 30 of the show. And then dear friend Jordan Foote of Arrowhead Report and the Roughing the Kicker Chiefs podcast. He'll join us at 9. Sad Fans on Reddit, Denver Broncos edition will be at 8 tonight. So lots of Chiefs Broncos, lots of Chiefs Raiders. We can begin to turn our attention that way at some point here soon. And generally just a lot of football. If you want something else, We have enough times throughout the year, I've thought through this. We have enough times throughout the year where it's not reasonable to talk about the Chiefs for an entire show. And so the fact that we are now here, yeah, it's hump day. Yeah, there were pressers today. I'll be at pressers tomorrow. Where are we in the week? Who's to say? But I don't need an excuse to talk about the Chiefs a whole bunch. And today we don't need one because they continue to do two things remarkably well. One is to stay alive throughout what has been an absolutely bonkers, weird season. And the second thing is to somehow be kind of disappointing while doing that. I cannot think of a time in at least recent Chiefs history where they had as many games that they won and then left you with a bit of a sour taste in your mouth. And Chiefs Broncos on Sunday was a weird little bit of both, right? Because the most important thing, and I said this on the post-game show, and I'll repeat myself if I have to on this front. Whenever Eric Bieniemy, let's use Eric Bieniemy as our example here. Whenever Eric Bieniemy says, I don't really care about the numbers, I care about the alphabets. I care about the W's and the L's. That's what Eric Bieniemy says whenever he's asked about numbers. Most of the time, it ends up there somewhere. That's coach speak, talking around the question, and getting kind of tunnel vision sometimes. It's to paraphrase Seren Petro of these very airwaves. It's a results oriented business. That's true. But that's not an excuse to not be interested in the process, and specifically for us in this line of work, and really for Eric Bieniemy as well. He's just not going to do this to our face very often. We have to evaluate more than just the final results, right? Like, if we only said final record is the only thing that we care about, then the Broncos would have been Super Bowl favorites after they started off the year with a handful of victories over truly terrible football teams. Or the Chiefs at below 500 would have been out of everyone's playoff picture. But that's not how it works. The performances in the process, for what we do at least, and for fans watching, wanting to understand, and for the teams trying to figure out how to set themselves up best for the long haul, the process matters. And so I only even mention all of that to lay that as my foundation here. It is a results-oriented business, but I am always very interested in the process. Those two things work together. I'm not saying there's any conflict there. I'm not saying you're either team results or team process. In fact, I think if you want to be on top of it, it's got to be everything all together, right? But the one thing that to the Eric Bieniemy point, to that reference point, that can put those two things at odds, right? I don't care about the process if the results are good. And again, also, Eric Bieniemy definitely cares about the process. But whenever you look at what the Chiefs have done this year, I end up just feeling like we're in such a wonderfully unique place in terms of watching a football team be weird. And also, it shows you the benefit of sometimes just focusing on the result. The Chiefs right now are tied for the second best record in the AFC. The Patriots are there alone, and I'm just not sure that I'm fully in on Mac Jones yet, so we'll get there when we get there.
Why is that?
Yeah, I can't put my finger on it.
3 fingers on it?
Like, that's so silly. You're like, there's no even reason to, like, I want 3, like, at least, 5. There's no, what do you mean 3?
Did you see that Verderam clip?
No.
So,
Mac Jones threw 3 passes
yeah,
against
there's
the Bills. Monday Night Football.
Him and I believe Mark Carman. Basically, Mark is it's a clip from the podcast to do, and basically Mark is just asking him, this is not the Patriots have won a game with fewer pass attempts, and Verderam knew when it was. He knew how many rushes there was. He knew what the score was. He knew the field goal kicker who kicked the one field goal because the score was 3-0. He knew the person who was responsible for riding some machine to clear the snow off the field because that person was there on a work release program from prison. This was back in like the 80s, 70s or something. Verderam knew all of this information.
I was going to try to get him on Friday
It didn't
regardless.
take him long to figure it out either.
We gotta grill him on that in particular. Don't let me forget that, Rudy,
It was
if we
the
have
most,
him on Friday.
And honestly, so there were 2 things. There was another thing he knew in there that also blew my mind. I forget what the question was, but basically the parameters were, who was the last quarterback to do blank in Pittsburgh, and it wasn't Ben Roethlisberger, and he just goes 2011, or he asked what year it was, and Carmen tells him it was 2011. Dennis Dixon. I'm like, who remembers Dennis Dixon? I forgot about Dennis Dixon.
There are a lot of jokes around that whole sort. Oregon. There are a lot of jokes around there that I'm too afraid to touch this early in the show.
Verderam something, man.
He really is. Yeah, we gotta grill him on that, presumably on Friday. I'm not. And look, that game was not fully Mac Jones' fault. I generally am still waiting to see that I should fear Mac Jones. Maybe it doesn't matter if you're afraid of Belichick. I don't know. Let's come back to the Patriots in just a second, because I want to land the plane, however briefly, on what this season has led us to, talking about the Chiefs in particular. They have the second best record in the AFC, tied with a bunch of teams. And that doesn't mean they're second in the AFC. They're not, because they've lost these tiebreakers. That loss to the Chargers could even back out, but they're not going to get back the tiebreaker against the Titans or the Bills or the Ravens. Those lots have been cast or whatever. But they're right there. And the difference in the result here is the entire season. If you lose to Jordan Love and Daniel Jones, 2 games that the Chiefs won ugly, that didn't feel particularly good, beating Aaron Rodgers would have felt good. Blowing out the Giants would have felt good. Squeaking by in the way they did, the exact, parameters of the Chiefs' offense in those games didn't feel great. But what does feel good is still being in it in December, because what winning does is buy you more time to figure out the process that has not been as smooth as you want it to be. The results give you the chance to go back and reevaluate the process. And that's what the Chiefs have done as well as anybody this year. Now look, again, if they take that extra runway and they never figure out what's gone wrong, well, then they're just going to be one of a handful of very flawed teams in the playoffs who will either get lucky or they won't. They'll either have their 3 best games in a row or they'll stub their toe against the Colts or something. And all of those things are in the realm of possibility if they end up still having all of these things they continue to trip up over throughout their particularly offensive production. The defense feels like it's gotten figured out. If the offense wouldn't have been able to score some points whenever the defense was a nightmare early in the season, or if the defense would have taken 2 more weeks to turn the corner, they may have run out of runway by now. You probably wouldn't be talking about, oh man, thank goodness the defense turned it around, or thank goodness the offense had the juice to do what they did earlier in the season a little bit, because at that point it literally wouldn't matter, because they would be, I don't know, I guess 6-6, just if you took those 2 games that I was pointing to. But if they lose those 2 games, does everything from there on out look the same? I don't know. Maybe they're still alive at 500, but you eventually see the diminishing return on that. And so it's why I think the Chiefs are genuinely, maddeningly interesting, despite us not learning much new information about them in a while. I don't know what we learned against the Broncos. I don't think the Chiefs showed us much of anything other than maybe not quite a nail in a coffin, but closing the lid on the coffin on Mecole Hardman as a wide receiver too. He's still super talented. He'll still get touches, but I think the Chiefs are probably about out based on the way that he's been used for several weeks, culminating in, he was 4th among wide receiver snap count, because it was Hill by a lot, Pringle by a lot, Robinson by a lot. He might have even been behind Josh Gordon. I need to pull the snap counts back up again. I'm
pretty confident he was. I listened to Time Towers.
Never heard of it. That sounds like a good podcast.
This morning or last night? Yesterday? One of the 2. And I believe you guys talked about it. I do believe Josh Gordon had more snaps, and the snaps is obviously a huge deal, and a big part of McColl's game this year has obviously been the short stuff, right? Mm-hmm. It's been all the dink and dunks, but there were at least some attempts to throw the ball to him downfield, and that's just gone now, it seems like. In this last game, it was just the little jet sweep, right?
It was one target.
It was just nothing.
He had one target. He has many targets as Marcus Bleepin Kemp. Wide receiver snaps here, as Matt Derrick tweeted. Hill 50, Pringle 41, Robinson 31, Gordon 13, Hardman 9, Kemp 4. And then Matt tweeted, that's your depth chart. And I think he's right. So maybe there's something there. Maybe a little bit of them turning back to Demarcus Robinson. Maybe there's a little bit of interesting stuff here or there. Maybe you could take a little bit from, I don't know, the linebackers, or DeAndre Baker getting more work than Mike Hughes with Rashad Fenton now. Little individual things you could point to. But I don't think that the Kansas City Chiefs as a football team are doing anything or should be evaluated in any way fundamentally differently than they would have been before that game.
Swanson got fixed.
And he should get all of Juan Thornhill snaps now. I agree, Rudy. It's a great point.
The defense is fundamentally different now.
The defense is fixed because Dan Sorensen was out there. And imagine how good they'd be if he played 100% of the snaps again. There's
playing 100% of the snaps when he's fixed. He was broken early.
Exactly.
So now he's fixed. Now we're just waiting for Mahomes to do the same, right?
Now,
and if Sorensen can do it, here's the good news, guys. Mahomes can. Well, maybe he can do it. He's not Daniel Sorensen, so let's not get crazy.
and if you're thinking, well, I mean, you guys say that, but is there any chance that Daniel Sorensen's reduced role and putting him kind of back in some of those sub-package expertise sort of spots in any way maybe played a factor into him returning to a little bit more form? And also that he caught a pass, tipped off the hand of Ben Neiman, and was in the right place at the right time, and then, of course, had a great return after that. But is there any chance at all that it's more complicated than just Dan Sorensen is fixed? And as Rudy just said, the answer is no.
Nope.
No. You're an idiot for thinking that.
Big old dummy.
You're an idiot for even asking that question.
Just a big old dummy.
It is because he got his superpowers back.
Go watch soccer. That's not fair. I like soccer.
Not as much as like Dan Sorensen, though.
True. Dan Sorensen and the soccer teams I root for do a lot of the same things. And just like Dan Sorensen got a pick six, Everton got a 2-1 win when they were down 1-0. So we're fixed, baby. Everything's coming back. Do we fire our GM immediately after the game? Sure, but it's fine.
Sporting really put a damper on my Thanksgiving weekend.
Sporting thing's not even the worst thing, man. I can tell you some stuff about Everton. If you, like, in all seriousness, not even as a joke, their owner got called a knockoff Jerry Jones recently, and there's like some politics going around where the head coach or our manager got essentially our GM fired. It's a thing.
That seems healthy. Yeah, it seems like you guys have a good thing going there.
You think about, the 2012 Chiefs?
Yeah.
That's the 2021 Everton.
I love those guys.
But the difference is that we have a like a crazy owner compared to Clark Hunt, who is a pretty mild-mannered individual.
As far as we know.
As far as we know.
What do you think? This is a dangerous game, so answer dangerously. What would, like, give me something that would absolutely stun you to find out about Clark Hunt that would not stun you to find out about most people,
He's
you know
like
what I mean?
just like a cheeseburger from Sonic.
It's a pretty good one.
Just any kind of like normal fast food
Do
place.
you think Clark Hunt, man,
like I got a McChicken today, and the idea of Clark Hunt eating a McChicken is just mind-blowing to me.
I'm really mad that his press conference was a couple weeks ago. We won't hear from him for a little while still, I don't think. But I just want him to be asked, and a couple of years, I did the, like, 6 a.m. crack of dawn McDonald's little interview with Clark Hunt. And this is a question perfectly tailored for that. But I would love to ask Clark Hunt the last time he went through a drive-thru.
Yeah, just like sat in line
that he was in the car. I don't care if someone else is driving or he's driving, but I would love to know if Clark Hunt ever gets into a vehicle and just goes up to a speaker and orders a number 7, you know? It seems terribly unlikely.
Why would you?
But because some of that food is good, If
if
I was an oil baron,
I wouldn't sit in line through a McDonald's. I'd
That's
just go
true.
by the McDonald's and then just walk in and grab stuff as I please. Because I'm Clark. I'm the Clarks. I own this McDonald's now.
I was gonna say that I would just order a lot more food, and just have more things delivered and whatnot.
Still, I would never be because I don't do a ton of delivery because you got the delivery fee and you got the tip, and I'm gonna tip good.
Yeah.
And that's like an extra $10 right there. I would never ever have to worry about that ever again.
You're in. You could just order food all you
and
want.
Every tip would be like $50.
But sometimes that takes a while, and so if you really want to get that food quickly, sometimes you gotta just get it. You want Taco Bell has like a 7-minute period of being between like absolutely heavenly delicious junk food to absolutely inedible dog food. And you got to hit that window, man. You can't miss that.
Here's what I do. My backyard, or maybe it's just in my kitchen, doesn't matter where. I'm building a food court. I think that's there's a Taco Bell. I got a little Taco Bell there, and I'm paying one person just to hang out in my kitchen and just like make Taco Bell food. And then next to Taco Bell, there's the McDonald's, and there's just one dude running that too. I know what you're saying. You're saying, why not just have one guy to run out? Nope. I want one guy
not to
run the whole thing.
No.
I want one guy to run each of the things, or gal.
Yeah, sure. You want to have the equivalent of a sandwich artist at each backyard
I want a
restaurant.
burrito artist. I want a hamburger artist. I want all the artists.
The crazy thing is that if you had Clark Hunt money, you could absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Like, easily. Like, it wouldn't affect anything.
It would not be a problem.
I would love to think that he has one, like a guilty pleasure from.
Like, you think he goes to Chipotle? You think he just, like, just stands in line at
to
Chipotle?
go inside and no way.
You think he does the...
I don't go in the Chipotle.
So, like, I don't stand in line, but I'll order ahead, right? Just so I can just, like, walk in, grab my bag, and go.
Yeah.
I think Clark Hunt just strolls into a Chipotle, grabs, he's looking for the bag, and these, like, guys stand there because it's like, the set was going to be done, at 12:30. It's 12:40, and it's not here, so I'm just...
If I
had
oil baron money, I think I would just have... I've gotten a lot of new, like, small bags for my various diabetes things. I've got, needle caps in here and all that. Insulin, whatnot, things I need to live. I would get another bag that I would just have on or around me all the time. That would just have a stack of $100 bills. And if I needed a regular person to do anything for me, I would say, hey, man, I'll give you $100 right now if you'll go to this Chipotle, pick up the order for Clark, and bring it back to me. I'll give you $100. And I want you to do it quickly. Like, don't screw around here. $100 in your pocket. I think I would just do that all the time.
Yeah.
Because if Clark Hunt asked me to go get his burrito for $100, I would do it.
Absolutely. Have you ever seen? I've been rewatching like Parks and Rec, and it's a very, I think it's like in the first season or two where their sister city in Venezuela comes.
Yes.
And the whole time they're basically just like treating Tom just like, just basically human garbage.
He's just the errand boy.
And he's so
yes.
mad about it until they finally start tipping him like $100 at a time. And
That's
he's like,
a great
is this
comp.
demeaning? Sure, but cash.
That.
Sitcoms, man.
I know we have a lot of so unrealistic. I know we have a lot of fake taglines for this show, but is this demeaning? Sure, but cash is that might just be
Cash
Rudy.
money.
Rudy needs a T-shirt that says. I'm not sure that fits the show. I think that fits Rudy's T-shirt.
Yep.
It's just got Rudy's face in the middle, and then around it in circular text it says, "Is this demeaning? Sure, but cash."
Yeah. That explains a lot about the things that I do in my life. Sums up a lot.
I got to start, because Beards was a terrible person to play this game with, but I got to start playing the how much money would it take to do this game with you more. The issue is that Beards' number is so...
You're going to think it's a bit.
Right.
And the reality is it's not. It's just the number is probably that low.
So that's the thing. So Beards' numbers would be extraordinarily high. Your numbers will be extraordinarily low.
Yeah.
But the new thing for me is if I'm playing this game, because I know your tendencies, I got to make it things that I would be able and willing to pay for, It's like if I was like, Rudy, how much would it... let's play the game here, and then we'll call Kent Swanson, and we'll talk about the Chiefs again.
I forgot we're calling him.
Yeah, we'll do it in a second.
If you're listening, Kent, sorry.
No, it's fine. This is about when we told him we would be calling. It'll work out. Rudy, how much money would it take for you to come to my house and just do one load of laundry for me? Put it in the washer, sit there, let it wash, take it out, put it in the dryer, and then I do need you to fold it and put it away, because that's the part for me that I don't really do, but hang it up, fold it up, whatever. How much would it take to come to my house and do one load of laundry?
Obviously, I wouldn't charge you because of our friendship, but if you weren't my friend, I don't know, $50?
And see, that's way too much.
It seems like a pretty easy way to make $50 because I like making laundry and I can bring my Switch over and I can just chill.
I think that's a pretty good number because I would also do someone else's laundry for $50.
You could probably talk me,
and I would, but I wouldn't pay for it.
Into like 40, but I don't think I could go below 40.
I might think that 25 might be more worth it, but you have to make the trip. So maybe you do 2 loads of laundry in one trip. Maybe I can get you there for $60.
Okay, yeah, I'm good with that.
I'm not offering to pay to do my laundry.
I am taking cash, or the gas, right? A little bit of that into account, right?
Of course. Sure, I'm not sending you a driver, but if I was Clark Hunt, I would.
Yeah.
I would just send Giuseppe or whatever to...
I'd love to be Clark's driver. Seems like a good job.
It really does.
I like driving.
Do you think they have to sign like an NDA of some sort?
Absolutely.
If not, can you start for your first real challenge to book a guest for this show, Rudy? Could you try to get me any of Clark Hunt's drivers?
Just anybody who works personally.
Antonio Brown's chefs have like ruined him. Well, I mean, Antonio Brown ruined himself, but his chefs told us about it. See if we can get a Hunt family chef or something. I just want to talk about him. I want to talk to them about whatever.
I'll see what I can do.
I wonder the last time Kent Swanson has been through a drive-thru. We'll talk to our friend from the KC Sports Network whenever we come back about some of the Chiefs stuff that we started talking about early on, and then certainly some of the fast food-based stuff that this show really makes its money on.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 8. WHB. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I think it's pretty disruptive, much like the way I was at the Slim Chickens last time. I tried to play that card.
Kent is out here trying to be disruptive in the sports media scene and in your local Slim Chickens.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Unsurprisingly, a lot of fast food talk already early on in today's edition of Almost Entirely Sports. And never difficult to keep one of those trends going whenever we're joined by the one, the only, Kent Swanson. You can follow him on Twitter at Kent_Swanson. Technically, I'm sure he's not the only. I'm guessing that name has been used before, but he's our Kent Swanson. You can also, of course, get all of his work through KC Sports Network. We've got the KC Laboratory Podcast, his work on the Substack at kcsn.substack.com, and again on Twitter at Kent_Swanson. Kent, first most important thing, when was the last time that you went through a drive-thru?
Let's see here. I think it was last week. I think I took my kid through the Sonic drive-thru, which is a pretty big letdown because they've got these wonderful booths sitting there for you to drop in an order. I went through the drive-thru with my kid.
I've gotten into the habit of hitting the drive-thru. It's how I know that my childlike wonderment has left my body completely because I go through the drive-thru at Sonic. So then the important follow-up question that I believe that Rudy may have given you the pre-interview update on. When do you think, if you had to bet money on it, when do you think is the last time that Clark Hunt went through a drive-thru?
Yeah, I mean, is the answer never?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. He's always been rich.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm sure he made a Taco Bell run or two in college, right? But it might be that far back because as soon as he graduated, and I'm assuming he graduated college, as soon as he graduated college, my man was on to bigger, better things. He was wearing a suit full time. I mean, that hairstyle he has had since college.
Yeah.
So, I think the last time, maybe college, but the fact that I'm thinking about that is it's pretty stunning.
Because we know Andy Reid will hit up a drive-thru, right? But that fits. He's also a rich man. Andy Reid is not an oil baron, though.
Are we sure Andy hits a drive-thru up, or because I know Andy talks about a cheeseburger,
yeah,
but it always feels like he's talking about a Five Guys cheeseburger because he's specifically.
Good point.
I feel like Five Guys might be the minimum threshold for an Andy Reid cheeseburger. I don't really think that my man is going to Burger King.
No, I agree with you. That's a great point.
So I don't know. I don't think you're going to see Andy making a run for a double cheeseburger at McDonald's anytime. I think he's a little bit more upscale than that.
Do you think that he's he's just Uber Eatsing it, or do you think that he's making his way into a Five Guys? Because I'd have to think that being either Andy Reid or Clark Hunt. I mean, Andy Reid into Five Guys, everyone's taking a picture because it's a very on-brand Andy Reid thing. It would be charming, wonderful. It would be on Twitter. If I saw Clark Hunt in a Five Guys, I would start getting nervous.
Wasn't there a picture of Brett Veach running around at a Five Guys? There's a picture of Brett Veach sitting at a Five Guys, so at least he would do that. Also, do you think Andy Reid even Uber Eats? Do you think he just has some intern go get his cheeseburger for him?
Yeah, probably.
He has built-in Uber Eats.
Right.
He just gets to tell people to go get him a cheeseburger, and they do it. And you know what? There's a Five Guys close to the stadium, too. And my man is there. As much as my man is there, I don't know.
No, I think that's probably a good call. And honestly, I mean, Brett Veach started as an intern assistant or whatever. These are questions. Okay, I'm glad that we have had this. For me, this is basically just going to work into a fictional series of interviews with Brett Veach, Andy Reid, and Clark Hunt that I'm never going to be granted. But I wonder if I really took it to Chiefs PR. I was like, look, I just want to ask these guys about food things exclusively. No trick questions. I'm a straight shooter. We're talking cheeseburgers the whole time. I wonder if I could break down any of those walls. Can BJ help me out? Ask BJ for a hand on this one.
I'll try to pull some strings with that. I think there's a non-zero chance that, was Five Guys around in 2009-ish? Do you know?
I would think so.
Yeah, I would think so.
So, if there was Five Guys readily available in Philly, then there's a non-zero chance that Brett Veach just knows Andy Reid's cheeseburger order from Five Guys because he had to make that run for him.
Yeah, Five Guys 30 was in 1986.
And they're headquartered in Virginia, so that's not, it's not like a In-N-Out situation.
Did you know there are Five Guys in Italy, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Spain? There are 1,500 of these places.
Statistically, I would think there are way more Five Guys in all of those places. Did I say
I'm
that?
not really remotely surprised by that, though. I mean, they're a fast-growing company, guys. Can I say something really quick? I'm sorry. This just reminded me. We are in the golden era of fast casual, and I am so glad I am alive in this era because we had to slum it with basically like Burger King or McDonald's as our options, and now we've got these glorious fast casual places. Shake Shacks are popping up left and right.
Hold up, you guys think you guys were slumming it? Where I grew up, there was a Sonic, and then when I was like in junior high, we got a Dairy Queen, and that was
huge,
massive.
Sonic rules. I know you weren't slandering Sonic there, but I just want to make clear that this show will have no Sonic disrespect.
Every Friday and Saturday night, you went and hung out at Sonic. That's what
Club
you did
Sonic.
where I grew up.
Yeah,
that was the spot, man.
The other thing I don't.
Then you get a friend who works at Sonic. You order a chicken strip basket, and he puts 12 of them in there, and you're just good.
I never had a friend that worked at Sonic.
This sounds very much. Did you grow up in Eudora?
No, so I grew up close to Eudora, Garnett, Kansas.
Okay, yeah. So we had the same thing. We had the exact same thing. We had a Sonic and we had a Dairy Queen, and I had the Dairy Queen plug. So my flamethrower burger was like a triple flamethrower, which was delightful.
You got to get the fast food. Like Josh, now it's a little different because you worked at Chick-fil-A. That's a strict place,
dude.
You can't get one chicken nugget by.
No, you
couldn't. But you got
couldn't.
to find the friend who works at the fast food place for the hookup.
Yeah, working at Chick-fil-A did nothing for anyone in my life other than, I don't know. I didn't have to eat anyone else's food when I was there, I guess. I don't know. I was not handing out. I was not passing around the blessings, unfortunately.
Well, that's because God's watching at Chick-fil-A.
That's true, which is why
his eyes are dialed. They are focused on that place.
Yeah.
Not that he's not watching everywhere, but he's definitely looking there.
He's watching KFC less closely.
Yes.
We can all agree on that. God is not the colonel. The colonel is the highest ranking deity at KFC, but Chick-fil-A reports to God.
Exactly. So yeah, no, I do they? Is it like? I'm curious. I didn't know which Chick-fil-A did you work at? Was it in the Johnson County area, or was this during MNU days, or like I'm fascinated now.
Early high school Oak Park Mall location. I had swoopy, of the time Justin Bieber hair, and I worked there for a year and a half or something, probably.
So were you ironically cheerful, or did you actually buy in?
I mean, a little bit of both, because that was before my spirit had been totally crushed. I mean, we're kind of right in the range of my spirit being totally crushed, I think. It did take me, unironically, more than a year to stop saying my pleasure in response to people thanking me for things. I did eventually break out of that. And, I mean, it wasn't a fun job. I didn't go to Chick-fil-A not caring if I got paid. It wasn't one of those buy-in circumstances.
But it was still delicious.
Yeah, it does. I'll tell you what. When you work at Chick-fil-A, you eventually do try the chicken salad sandwich and the grilled chicken sandwich and the wraps and the salads and everything, because at some point you've got to put something else into your body. So I tried everything on the menu that was there at the time. That's for sure.
I want to know how often you worked mornings and were just able to have access to those chicken biscuits, because I would eat those every day if I could, but I'm not motivated to get up in time to go get them.
I was a nighttime boy, which I guess I still am in a different way, and never really a morning boy. In fact, I think that they started doing breakfast right around the end of my illustrious tenure.
I didn't know that they didn't always make breakfast, but I mean, I don't know. There's a non-zero chance that you served me at Chick-fil-A.
That's what I'm thinking right now. I was, if you ever heard these dulcet tones, but even less dulcet through the drive-through speaker, real good chance of that. Kind of enjoyed the drive-through, really. Maybe that's one of our future bits. Maybe we all gotta go back and work at a fast food spot for a day. We could do that for a sponsor.
I was at Subway back in the day.
Sandwich artist.
The trick with Subway was you were not allowed to necessarily you weren't allowed free cookies or necessarily, but if a cookie broke, then you put it in a jar and those were free game. So you're making cookies and 6 of them would just accidentally break. Oh no.
Oh no, this cookie fail.
You can save that for later, Rudy, if you'd like. That was pretty magical.
Oh, no.
Apparently, Chick-fil-A started serving breakfast in 1986, and that's not when I was working there. So maybe
So is that
they did an overhaul
early on in your time?
Yeah, that was early.
Like,
Maybe they started serving breakfast more. Maybe they had a little menu refresh. Maybe I just wasn't
maybe
paying
breakfast
attention.
wasn't everywhere.
I was like 16, and the fact that I was there making $7.25 or $7.50 an hour or whatever, and getting free chicken sandwiches, and driving my dad's car to work and back. It was more about the money. I'll admit it, Kent. It was about the money, not the love of the chicken.
What? I'm just $7.50. I thought they paid handsomely above minimum wage.
Not when I was there.
This was a different time, Kent.
Yeah.
This was back when we didn't care about this type of thing.
I know that whenever you think of Chick-fil-A, you think of progressive values and treating their workforce really well, but you got to turn off the Chick-fil-A TV commercials. Have you guys, all right, and I'm going to ask you about the Chiefs after this. Do you know the commercial, there's a Chick-fil-A commercial that is two employees, and they're sitting on that red couch or whatever, and one of them's like, yeah, my coworker here didn't have a car, and they rode their bike to work every day or whatever, and then I went and did a thing where I entered a contest, and I won a car, and it was getting cold, so I decided to give my coworker her car, and this whole thing is like this big, very oh, look at how, we're like a family here at Chick-fil-A, and I watch that commercial and every time think, it's really weird to advertise that you don't pay your employees enough to have a car. That's a weird angle.
But here's the thing: the Olathe Chick-fil-A, which is one that I tend to frequent. There was a sign up. Oh yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Chick-fil-A.
You weren't supposed to say
that. Really good. I'm in. You're so witty and so quick, and you're gonna save that one too because it's me complimenting you.
Yeah.
But I mean, their starting wage is $15 on one of the signs.
What?
So I was it looked like they, So I was surprised because I just assumed that they, maybe it was just you. Maybe you were the only one that was getting that kind of treatment. And I honestly would kind of get it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm relatively certain that wasn't the case. But if it was and they got away with it, I mean, I guess I think that technically we as a capitalistic country just actually praise that as good business. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing that we do. Good work, Chick-fil-A.
Messing with you is always good business in my book.
That's fair. Yeah, especially.
I have learned. I've literally created a promo code for the KC draft guy that makes fun of you.
That's a great point.
Historically.
That's a great point.
I've had a lot of success just at your expense. So, I get it. Me and Chick-fil-A are kindred spirits, I guess.
Had Tyrann Mathieu ever been nominated for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award before trying to fight me on Twitter?
Good point.
I don't know.
Who can?
Well, there's a market inefficiency here we're starting to identify, huh?
Yeah. You can beef with me on Twitter at JB Brisco. At least follow me first. I'm glad that we spent this time the way that we did because I feel like it was more important that we get through the last time Clark Hunt has been to a drive-thru than it is that we get to the things that we learned from Chiefs Broncos. Because I've now asked this question to a variety of people whose Chiefs opinions I respect very much, and we've all ended up at very similar endpoints. But what do you think that you learned on Sunday about the Kansas City Chiefs?
I think we learned that our hopes of the coming out of the bye momentum are dead.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still going to be part of me in the back of my head that's thinking Andy Reid he's too smart, he's too good, to not get this team snapped out of this. And the best player in the world, Patrick Mahomes, he's too good of a player for things not to kind of really turn around for that side of the football. But I think we kind of have an idea of what this team is offensively, and that's not great because the sample size is getting way too big, and the same problems keep happening across the board. And so, I mean, that's the thing. This team might get marginally better on offense, and they might make some strides, and they might put a little bit more points up. But I don't think we are getting the Golden State Warriors of football kind of offense that we have, even for stretches this year.
Yeah. What is your top complaint as to why that's not coming back around? Because we've talked a lot about, can it come back? Will it come back? What will it take? But for you to be at a point where you're kind of letting that dream go, what are your top few culprits for that?
I mean, I crashed hard too. Like, I mean, I had a lot of optimism coming out of buying blind faith, but I mean, the thing that's so alarming is it's everything because the reliability of the pass catchers. Like, there's miscommunications happening with guys not named Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Guys named Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill are dropping passes.
Yep.
Byron Pringle's dropping passes. Like, there's a level of consistency with the receivers. There's a lack of trust. Play calling hasn't been great, I don't think. Mahomes hasn't been great either.
Yep.
So, things are catching up to them that normally don't. And, teams forcing the Chiefs to drive down the field the way that they are, I think, has really messed this team up because they're not converting and executing the same clip, and they're bound to make a mistake. We kind of talked about it on our podcast. It just, this team that has been, issue prone, turnover prone and drop prone, and, there's been some inconsistencies. It's been super talented, but now teams are making them pay for maybe not executing at a high level. And I think that's what we're seeing right now.
Is there a fix for that? Is there, if not a fix, I think you're right. Whenever you have 10 things that you can rattle off, you're not going to fix all 10 simultaneously. But is there one step in the right direction that you think, man, at least at this point, maybe they're not the Warriors, but maybe they are still the most terrifying offense in 2021 NFL football, or at least in the AFC?
Yeah, I mean, I still think they have the ability to be that, but I don't think they'll get there. But, drops would be a big one. I mean, I do think that they've just had a lot of drops that have just derailed this team in so many, just the most untimely time to drop a pass. And it's really killed a lot of drives. I think just solving that one thing. Seems like they've done, they did a better job protecting the football this time around, this week. I don't think they put it on the ground. I don't believe they didn't fumble in the red zone, but a ball bounced off of, I think it was Travis Kelce's hands this time. And there's just been, if they just solved the drop problem, I think you could add at least 7 points to this team's total because there's so many untimely drops, in the plus territory, and some of them turn into turnovers.
Yeah. Some of them in motion. It's just Tyreek Hill doing a volleyball set, and then it gets picked off because that's something we've seen happen now a number of times. With all the pass catchers and the various issues you mentioned there, I knew that, of course, I wanted to ask you about the snap counts on Sunday and where the Chiefs appear to be. You've been pointing in this direction for a long time. We've talked about McCole Hardman many times on this show, but I think this was the most dramatic example the Chiefs have given of what they actually think about where Hardman fits right now. He had 9 offensive snaps against the Broncos. That's less than Josh Gordon's 13 and significantly less than Hill Pringle and Demarcus Robinson. I know we have seen this over weeks to this point, to point towards they're using him as a gadget player, therefore they see him as a gadget player. But even with that in our recent rear view, 9 snaps is kind of shocking to me, even though maybe it shouldn't be.
So, yeah, I'm the guy that harps on McCole a lot, and so, yeah, this is just another. Thank you again for making me talk about this because I'm sure people are so, they're definitely not sick of this.
I wish people would ask me more about the things I have been very obviously right about. I thought I was doing you a service.
Well, Josh, just have more of those. Look, here's the thing with McCole, and we always I always think snap count tells you the story. That's what's telling you the story between Sundays. That's what's telling you what teams really think about this. The thing that was really surprising me with McCole, they didn't even really try to get him a touch early in the game.
Yeah,
because if you notice, McCole's probably good for 2 touches, but one of those touches is happening in the early script.
Yeah,
they are trying to get him on a jet. They're trying to get him on an end around. They're trying to throw him a ball outside the numbers and just to see what happens.
And I think we're on the same page on this part. But cool, do that. If you have him on the roster, dude, get him that touch, I guess, right?
I mean, sure. But the problem is that they don't trust him to hold on to the football,
right, or
catch the football, or return punts.
Right.
I mean, they have just effectively just removed him from the plan. And there's obviously, there's a situation here that they're going to be able to use him. But coming out of the bye week is normally a very big adjustment week for for coaching staffs. They do a lot of self-scouting. They ask a lot of questions. How do we make this thing better? And this offense needed to be better. And one of the solutions that the Chiefs staff, a very experienced Super Bowl winning Chiefs staff, determined was McCole Hardman's unplayable. Because he wasn't even really motioning. He would show up, he'd run a few verticals, he'd run through the defense so he could free stuff underneath him, caught one bubble, ran in. It's shocking. But I don't want to say I'm surprised, because I think if you look at his career arc, he got a lot of people excited for the 4 games that Tyreek Hill missed, and really hasn't done much of anything or been a consistent player in any way, shape, or form since.
Yeah. Well, so with that, we can leave that there. But you also mentioned the first 15, something you've been writing about all year long up on the kcsn.substack.com Substack newsletter. You can check that out there at kcsn.substack.com. And you took a closer look against the Broncos as well, and you note in your piece, if that's all we would have seen of the Chiefs' offense, the way that we talk about this team this week would be totally different. But you also mentioned the play calling hasn't been great. So whenever you took a closer look at the first 15 against the Broncos, and whenever you look at how they've been in terms of the scripted stuff out of the gate over the last several weeks, and then what they have, what they've done or not done after that point, what is going on there? What the hell is going on, Kent?
So many theories in my head. Some of them are not for radio, but
I guess you can give us the bad ones first. But if they're NSFW, then
it's not nefarious. But
sounds like your main conspiracy theory is that somebody's watching porn on the Microsoft Surface.
No, it's nothing that bad. But the next time we're together, I'll throw some of them out there to you. But look, I think this Andy Reid didn't forget how to coach offense.
Right.
We could potentially, and this is kind of where I'm going, we could talk a little bit about maybe, this has been a big year for Andy Reid in a lot of different ways. And, he went to the hospital in week 3.
Mm-hmm.
So are we sure that he's not, maybe divvying up some responsibilities, divvying up and maybe taking a little bit more, I don't know. I wonder, because this offense looks a lot different, and the play calling fades as the game continues. So Andy Reid, I still think, has his fingerprints on this offense undoubtedly, and I think very clearly early in the game he opens that script up. I think he has a lot of responsibility on that, but it does seem like there are some situational football, which, this team divvies stuff up. I'm not going to say that that's not, they still do. It's just, Andy's still got heavy oversight. But I at least wonder if there are shared responsibilities that maybe weren't always there on the offensive side of the play calling, and that might be what we're seeing. I will say this. I don't think the play calling was as bad as it has been at times. I think they did some good things. I think players really struggled to execute. The Mahomes near, Tyreek Hill was wide open across the field on that deep shot, and whether Mahomes' arm got hit or you underthrew it or whatever, there's some big chunk plays missed and all that stuff. But I don't know. I wonder at least if there's different fingerprints in different situations than there has been in the past on the offensive side of the ball.
Last thing you mentioned situationally, take me into Kent Swanson's brain with actually 69 seconds remaining in the first half was the exact number, minute 9. I guess I could have said, and the Chiefs have 2 timeouts and they don't even attempt anything.
All right, so I hated the idea of that. I hated that they were just trying to hope to get a first down and run the clock out, which very clearly seemed like they were trying to do. I almost wonder if they were just. I'm gonna devil's advocate.
Sure. Yeah.
The defense just got off the field for a 20-play drive, and I wonder if they're trying to manage the snap count of that defense a little bit and hoping to get a first down and just run the clock out for the rest of the half. I honestly wonder if that's the logic for that. That's what I think he could have been doing, making that decision. I wouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially this offense hasn't got any footing.
That's the thing. The defense has played a lot of snaps, and the offense had played like 7.
Yeah, but 3 incompletions, there's a minute 9, and you haven't really managed, you haven't really affected, the timeout situation of the Broncos.
They gave the ball back anyway, though. I mean, I understand that they did take some of that clock off, but it was a terrified form of football, which also, again, didn't work. Like, we have seen the Chiefs. We've seen the Chiefs in situations where they need to either burn some time or move the ball or pick up a couple first downs or whatever. Patrick Mahomes can throw the ball and do that, I mean, not that anyone is currently catching it, but I'd like to believe they might.
I'm not defending it.
Sounds like you
and
love it.
I hated it.
Oh, okay. You did mention that.
I want Mahomes firing.
Mm-hmm.
I want him, but I think there's a lack of trust. I do. And honestly, I think some of the play calling in the second half also can be a little bit of they felt confident that game was under control and they're sitting on the football a little bit. I think that's happened more than we want to admit from a game management perspective. Show as little as we can, keep the cupboard full.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, where's the confidence on this with this offense? This offense needs some confidence. They need to get back in the swing of things, and that's what's really frustrating for me.
Yeah. I agree that they absolutely throttle off and have been, time and time again for a while now. Doing it up 10-3 is not when I would do it, but I'm not being asked about my opinions of those things from the Chiefs because I still go through drive-thrus. Maybe not because of, but as a shorthand for where I'm at in this world. Kent, thank you for making the time for us here tonight. I believe that there is a new KC laboratory pod probably coming relatively shortly for the people, and also, of course, everything up at the kcsn.substack.com newsletter, kcsportsnetwork.com, at Kent_Swanson on Twitter. That's most of the things, right?
That is all you need to know.
And that if you could get a friend who works at a fast food establishment to get a hold of me, Kent, and Rudy, we'd really like to get that gravy train running again. So that's the other thing that you need to know.
Yeah, I'm just stunned that you haven't had that experience yet. I feel bad for you, buddy.
As I was trying to be that guy for other people, but then if you give out, one too many Chick-fil-A sauces to the poor, you get scorned by the Pharisees who work there, And I just really think that I'm starting to think that Chick-fil-A should double-check their theology. That's what I'm saying. See you, Kent.
Well,
Go ahead.
Hold on. My pleasure.
Oh, those I've put him on hold. I'm taking my headphones off. It burns. My ears are burning. The words "my pleasure" turned to ash in my mouth. Yeah. We'll really dirty this show back up in next segment because Sad Fans on Reddit Denver Broncos edition is up next, and Beards told me specifically that the Broncos were a profane group this week, so we'll prove that whenever we come back.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
get to Sad Fans on Reddit, Denver Broncos edition here in just a tiny bit from there. Just in a couple of minutes. But during the break, I'm fidgeting with my headphones here now, Rudy. Maybe that's a little bit better. During the break, Rudy and I were talking about, this is going to shock some people. This is really out of character for us, really off-brand.
I don't know if I want people knowing this about me.
Should I keep this private?
This might be private information.
What we were talking about during the break? We were talking about Pokemon. I think if you played word association with everybody at 8:10 and just said, okay, quick word association, Rudy, I think there would be two leading answers. I think it would be Pokemon.
Seems likely.
And tired.
I think you nailed it. Yeah. Yeah.
I just think that's what it would be.
Yeah.
Because it's also, it's the things, nobody here would go.
It's 90% of who I am as a person.
Well, at the very least, it stands out here because if someone said, hey, word association, Rudy, no one here would go, sports talk radio, because that's true for all of us, right?
Sports boy.
Sports boy. Sucker. Like, yeah, that's, true, I guess, but.
I'd actually be all right if I had the nickname Sports Boy.
Rudy Sports Boy.
Rudy the Sports Boy.
Rudy
Salazar.
the Sports Boy is pretty good.
With boy with an I, too.
Obviously. We were talking about where we're both at in the Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, the remakes of Diamond and Pearl that were DS games, Gen 4. And what we didn't actually get to during the break there, Rudy, is I think that you and I have gotten to almost the exact same point, which we've both beaten the second gym, which is grass type, right?
Yeah, I have basically just got done with the that little lost tower where there's all the ghosties.
Oh, I've not gotten there yet.
Yeah,
I played that in the original, but
I
haven't
have not gotten
there
to the third gym, but
Okay.
I'm like in the little town right before that.
You're probably 30 minutes of gameplay ahead of me or something.
Yeah, probably.
So
I caught a Murkrow.
that's exciting.
Added him as one of my mains because I want a Honchkrow because that's just a good name.
It really is.
Honchkrow's a haunchy boy.
I can't remember what my entire party is right now. I am playing with the Mew and the other little mythical guy that Jirachi. They haven't done much for me at this point, but I have them in my party. Anyway, I was curious because we'll bring back shot clock reviews sometime soon because we've got all these shows returning to us again. We'll be back on Friday, first Friday show in a long time. We'll be back for that.
Especially once we get past through the first of the year, because we both have a decent amount of vacation days still to burn.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
Once we get to January 1st, then it opens up a lot, and
Yeah.
you have a lot of things start coming and going as far as sports
your
during the week.
Monday and Thursday night football games cease to be and all of that. So we'll bring back shot clock reviews soon, and we'll play Sad Fans here in just a little bit. But what has your general feeling been on the remake? I've listened to the Besties episode because that's the one where my good personal friend Chris Plant gave a little shout out to Times Ours.
Mentioned your name.
My name did appear in an episode of the Besties.
I said Joshua Brisco with an E.
That would have been devastating.
I've been so happy.
If he would have just said Josh Briscoe, that's Briscoe, I would have had a very different
Follow
reaction.
him at JB Briscoe Beyond.
I might have changed my handle.
You would
for
have
that.
to.
I have
You
to,
had
yeah.
to.
But I thought their episode on that was interesting, and I have had. I feel pretty confident in what my experience has been with. I don't remember. I honestly don't remember finding that up with Pearl or Diamond. Which one are you playing?
You're playing Pearl. I'm playing Diamond.
Okay.
Yeah.
But real quick, not quite shot clock review quick, but what's your feel 2.5 gyms in or whatever?
So I am enjoying it, but I'm also somebody who did not play Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum, right?
I forgot about that.
So for me, this is a completely new game, right?
Yeah.
Like there is.
I played Platinum.
I've heard about some of the stuff that where it's like, hey, Platinum had some of these quality of life updates that this game just decided we're good.
Yeah.
And that makes absolutely no sense to me. Especially when remaking a game, everything that worked with the old games, you should just 100% just automatically add because it's already there, right?
And they could have also just had brilliant. They could have had brilliant Platinum.
Yeah.
I know.
And I understand it's not as easy as copy and paste, right? It's a little bit more complicated than that, obviously. But it's something you should have been able to do. There's no good reason for not being able to accomplish that.
A lot of this game is copy and paste. It feels like, too. Like, you're right, but it's not.
It's a little like, and the game's definitely got it's had and I didn't run into them, but I saw plenty of people talking about just like some of the bugs that they ran into, some of the soft locks. I never fully experienced that. I hate the way the bike moves, though.
I don't think I've actually gotten on a bike yet. I think I'm in the town with them.
It is the worst thing. It is. It's got 2 gears, and it's 3rd and 4th gear, which is
Why?
So, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's normal bike sling. I don't know.
No, I don't think it is.
3rd gear is the slower speed, and it's all right. 4th gear is just you're just gonna run into every wall that's in your way. You're just gonna. So I am almost never on the bike. Like, I just run, and the running is fast enough that I don't feel like I'm moving super slow. But the bike it's bad. The bike is very bad. My Pokemon can follow me though now, and they look cool following me.
Have you seen the e-cans?
I have, yes.
If you like Pokemon enough to have stuck with us through this 3-minute conversation, Google e-cans Diamond Pearl remake or something like that, and just see the animation. It's a snake. You would think perhaps it might slither along behind you or anything. It is in a coil, appearing to levitate behind you. It is coiled up,
so
just
good.
levitating.
By so good, I mean it's terrible, but
Like,
that's what
kind
so
of
good.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. So again, there are things about, like, I love the art style.
Yeah.
I think it's a very visually appealing game.
It's so strange that it occasionally goes from chibi to Sword and Shield pseudo-realistic in the battles and everything. It's very weird to me.
That doesn't. I think part of the reason why that doesn't bother me is because it's such a close-up at that point, right?
Yeah.
The thing that, and I've gotten used to it now, but it really bothered me early on, and it's like I kind of like what they're trying to do, but it was honestly giving me headaches. And it's the blur. So, like, the edges of the screen were a little blurred. And again, it makes sense, right? Because, like, you can't, if something's far away, you shouldn't be able to see it clearly.
Right.
But it was, like, blurred to such a degree that, like, it gave me headaches. Now, I think I've just gotten used to it now. So, like, because last time I played it, I didn't really notice it, didn't really bother me. But that was one thing where I was just like, I understand what they're trying to do, and I kind of like what they're trying to do. But it is causing me actual pain.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
And that seems like a problem.
I think at this point I've played the majority of my playtime on an airplane, because I played it on the way to Florida and on the way back over Thanksgiving and everything. And the disappointing thing to me is that with the Animal Crossing update, which I've done most of, and then there's the DLC that has some stuff that I've dipped in and out on at this point. But I've got Animal Crossing. I bought the new Mario Party, the one that just came out recently. It'll be on my Shot Clock reviews, but I really have enjoyed it so far. I've got a handful of other games on my Switch, and then I've got a new, fresh Pokemon remake on the Switch, which is a great place to play Pokemon games. And I've been picking the other things. I've been going back to play Animal Crossing for my 350th hour or whatever, instead of going back for my 3rd hour of Pokemon. And it just sort of bums me out a little bit.
Yeah, and again, I think it helps. Again, I don't even think it's a thing. I think it's just a fact. It helps me a ton by the fact that I never played any of the original 3. So it's just everything is such a new experience for me. But I've heard enough people who played Platinum who are just like, Platinum's a better game.
Yeah.
And it's just why that wasn't essentially, like, those improvements weren't made over doesn't make a lot of sense. And I guess this is the problem, like, if you're a game freak, right, like, this is the risk you take when you have when you're not the one who made it.
Yeah.
When you have a different company made it. Again, a company, and I don't know all of Ilka. I know they've done Pokemon stuff before, and that was a mobile phone app in Pokemon Home, which is not a game.
Not a game.
Maybe they've made games, I don't know, but their biggest thing to date is not an actual game, and now you're asking them to make a game. I'm guessing the thought process there is just simply, hey, they have the artwork because they made all these.
Right.
These
Let's
Pokemon,
not
right?
bleep it up. Let's just make a remake,
and
it's a
I do
remake.
think it's very visually good looking. Mm-hmm. There are just
I wish it was more fun to play.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know. Maybe the main franchise Pokemon games, because you've played way more Sword Shield than I have,
For sure.
So Maybe it's just not. Maybe I exist to play the graphic upgraded Pokemon Go,
which is wild.
Let's put that in your shot clock
is.
reviews. I'll let you explain that whenever we do shot clock reviews in the future. It's bonkers.
The one thing I'll say about it, it makes me think that anytime I get out of it and go to just anything else on my phone, I'm like a little disappointed almost because I feel like my phone is like only operating
holding
at like
you back.
80. Yes, compared to what because when you essentially when you turn on the refresh rate is essentially
you can turn
what
it's
it
a
is.
native refresher, so it basically lets Pokemon Go refresh at the same rate that like Apple would let one of their own apps refresh.
And it's just wild.
It's hard to explain. I literally showed Renee, who has not played Pokemon Go since 2016.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but watch. I'm going to switch it back to normal mode, and then a new mode, and normal mode, and the new mode again.
It's wild.
Do you see this? And she was like, yeah, it looks bad. I was like, but you don't. Well, look at how smooth it is when I throw the Pokeball.
I had to like learn how to like rethrow again, kind of.
I was better at it immediately. I dropped excellent throws 2 out of 3 or something.
Yeah, because like especially it's taking me like
upgrade.
a little it took a little bit of an adjustment, but not a lot. Like I'm back to getting some of my excellent curveball throws. No big deal.
I'm a menace.
But man, it is so smooth now.
Look, and it looks great. All right, that's enough Pokemon. There you go. Pokemon and Sad Fans was not on the label for this hour, but it might as well have been because you know who you're listening to, like, right?
That's a show.
You want me to talk about KO basketball in December? Come back when it starts getting warmer again, okay? Or even Saturday. I'll talk about it on Saturday.
That Saturday will be exciting
because it will be actually fun.
And they're going to win by 60, but it'll be cool.
But at least you get a little border war back.
I still love the people who are just like, I don't even think we should be playing them.
Yeah, because
Shut
Mizzou,
up, you're excited.
Because Mizzou went to the SEC and had so much success at your expense.
They destroyed the Big 12. Well, I think Bob Bowlesby might have done a lot to help that.
Yes, and also, who's a better football program right now, Mizzou or Cincinnati? Taking a minute, but Mizzou might have done you a favor. The Big 12 is going to have one future team in the playoff.
Heck, BYU had a hell of a year this year. They're coming now.
Stop complaining.
There was I remember there was like a time, like a couple weeks ago, where I think like the 2 highest ranked Big 12 teams, I use quotation marks, were Cincinnati and BYU.
We did make a joke about not talking about college sports just then, and then did start unironically talking about college sports, and that's character development, folks.
Sports. Who says we can't do it?
The Denver Broncos lost to the Kansas City Chiefs.
I just thought of something.
Okay, sure.
I kind of wish Beards would have done like a sad Oklahoma State fans on Reddit, because that
just
game
for
was,
Mick and Corey they could have taken that into the zone.
That game was brutal.
That was deeply frustrating, and I did not have a strong rooting interest. My rooting interest was conflict because it was Oklahoma's game basically for their playoff lives, and I kind of wanted to root for Oklahoma State because I want Mick Schaefer to be happy.
It would have been kind of cool to see Mick's team in the playoffs.
But I was rooting against Oklahoma State because I want Corey Anderson to be sad. So it was conflicting. Ultimately, I just hope everyone had fun. Yeah, I don't need to explain Sad Fans on Reddit. Here's Sad Fans on Reddit, Denver Broncos edition. What do you need me to explain it for? We do this bit every week.
And now, a list of things that Denver Broncos fans said on Reddit. This might get out of hand before my pizza's here.
Thought he was going to say a different
Kermit
P word.
sounding. Come on, defense. Jesus Christ. I see Vic still has no plan for Kelsey. Clyde looked at a guy he just trucked over for a prolonged amount of time. Where's the taunting penalty? That touchdown. Teddy, 3 and out. Bridgewater? Hell, I hate our offense. And you, Collinsworth. You can't stuff Mahomes' far enough down your throat. Well, here comes the offense. Let's see what kind of voodoo bullshit Shermer puts out this drive. Bend don't break doesn't work if you bend and break.
Yeah, we've been there.
Teddy Lambs to the slaughter. Teddy Bridge over the River Kwai. Imagine having any energy to hate the Chiefs or their fans when Vic Fangio is still coaching our team. The masculine urge to want one first down. Can't even catch a break on the upright, huh? Knew he'd make a 56-yarder of course. Nothing goes right against this sucking team.
So mad.
It's been fun to watch Pat Shurmur's play calling evolve. What the is Collinsworth smoking? Death by more penalties. Nice. R-O-L. Cortland? Buddy? You okay? Fangio might as well be holding up a Cracker Barrel menu. The fact that half the subreddit has said this is a good challenge means this is Fangio's best challenge of his career. The ref's pockets look unusually thick. Fant is incapable of football. White people are now banned from using the word gangster for a week. Wow, what an entire waste of a quarter. Holy shit. Shurmur, you are completely stupid. I keep forgetting we have wide receivers on this team. Would be nice to use them once in a while. Shrugging emoji.
Have good wide
This is going to be one of those games where I stay up late to watch and end up hungover as in the morning at work while also depressed we lost, isn't it? NFL really put Teddy on Sunday Night Football primetime? They f***ing stupid. If Mahomes and Lamar Jackson both wanted a from Collinsworth, which one would get the which one would get fire Tom McMahon?
I lost
into
the plot on that one
Son.
at some point.
This is not a coincidence. Our special teams unit is the worst in the NFL. I've just accepted that I'm not allowed to have any joy from this team anymore. No, Chris, I don't have to be happy for him. Soren. Well, this bourbon ain't gonna drink itself. Pain is an emotion. The Chiefs literally tried to hand this game to us, and we said, nah, LOL. No, Chris, we aren't better than this. The announcers just did us the favor of warning us that we're about to get trucked by the Lions. Elway took out his private jet to watch this show? If I have to see this Peyton Manning and our starters after him graphic one more time,
Simply get a good
did
quarterback.
Kenny Young kick a Chiefs puppy? They've been dogging him all game. A cool 9 points. Way to go, fellas. We're the best 6-6 team. We're also the worst 6-6 team. FML. Mahomes was ass, but we were worse. If you own a Denver Broncos jersey and can throw the ball farther than 25 yards, please be at Dove Valley by Monday for tryouts. Comment.
It's just Drew Lock.
Bring in Andrew Luck. Reply. We'd need Doctor Strange to open up the multiverse for us. One day, there will be a 30 for 30 about how Tom McMahon witnessed Johnny Bolin kill a prostitute and then held that blackmail card over the organization to never lose his job as special teams coordinator. As far as I can tell, that's the only reasonable explanation on how that boy still has a job.
It's the special teams kid.
If I were a defensive coordinator, I would triple team the running back just to see if Teddy can complete a pass to a wide receiver. The 2016 to 2021 Broncos and not showing up against the Chiefs, a legendary combination. And now, the bronze medal. This game should be on Hub. That's about how badly we're going to get And now, the silver medal.
He's got a
Broncos bingo card. Opening drive without a touchdown. Questionable Fangio challenge. God lightning bolt emoji peed with a terrible field. Headed by Beers McFly. I don't understand that one. Teddy missing wide open targets. Long, quote, meaningful drives that end in 0 points. 3 Pro Bowl caliber wide receivers with barely 100 yards combined. Underutilized Fant. Wasted offensive opportunity after a defensive turnover / stop. Special team in the bed. Javonte still being a beast. Pathetic tackle attempt by Teddy after a pick. Parentheses, albeit an actual attempt this time. Majority of Teddy's completions at or 2 yards near the line of scrimmage. Calls for Locke even though he's also trash. Collinsworth chortling Mahomes. Edit here by Beers McFly. You try saying that one 5 times fast.
I can
Showing
hear
up
him.
when it's 2 quarters too late. That's a bingo.
I can hear Beards
And now,
furiously
the
screwing up
winner.
that line.
Of things that Broncos fans said on Reddit. Comment. Can we become a horse subreddit, please? Reply. Are donkeys horses?
Beards was trying to say the phrase bleep Collinsworth. I'm afraid to figure out what words were bleeped and what weren't. But it was alliterative. And he kept I didn't hear him screwing it up, but I did hear at one point on the other side of the wall. I was sitting in our office and he was recording over there. I just heard bang, bang, bang of clearly someone's fist punching a desk.
Yeah.
And Beards isn't a terribly rageful person, so that must have been his 20th take.
I've heard him do that, I think, like maybe once before, like not this year, but like last year, the year before that. Like I've heard it once or I think once. I've seen him get mad where he just like keeps trying to say something but can't say it. It's very rare of him to do something like that.
Broncos fans are very profane and very angry about the state of their franchise, and I don't really blame them.
They really don't like their special teams coordinator.
Yeah, that one's a little bit weird. But their last two good quarterbacks were John Elway and Indianapolis Colts legend Peyton Manning. I almost said Phillip Rivers. Maybe they should try Phillip Rivers. Just see if that works.
I mean, it's a little disrespectful to Jake Plummer.
Jake the Snake.
I mean, he's easily he since Peyton Manning retired. If Jake the Snake was just like in his prime throne on the Broncos, he's the best quarterback by a mile they would have had.
I think prime Kyle Orton would like a word with you.
And
And they have such similar energy. Such similar energy.
Kyle Orton
As does Jay Cutler, by the way. The Broncos have had a type in terms of slightly schlubby.
Cutler was before Manning. I'm talking post Manning.
So is Jake Plummer.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So like if you took hold up.
Tim Tebow is in that mix somewhere too.
I get what you're saying. There are other quarterbacks besides Jake Plummer you can throw into the post Manning era, and they would clearly be the best quarterback.
I'm just making fun of Broncos quarterbacks. I don't really have that much of a method to. I'm saying their best two are John Elway, who I never saw play football with my own eyes, and Peyton Manning, who got benched for Brock Osweiler and then ended up winning a Super Bowl with his fused together robot neck anyway. But one of those dudes is in the front office now, and one of them has a Monday Night Football show. And they would probably win more games with prime Kyle Orton on this team.
Oh, absolutely. Kyle Orton is one of my all-time favorite quarterbacks. Like, I don't know what Kyle Orton's doing in life, but I hope he's good. Like, I hope Kyle Orton's just good, right? I hope he's just enjoying life.
I've got two things to Google here. One is the fact that the Broncos. I want to find the Broncos' worst quarterback at least since Peyton.
Paxton Lynch, probably, right?
Or maybe Trevor Siemian.
I mean, Trevor Siemian's at least like...
But he's playing football still.
Yeah, Trevor Siemian had the ability to be competent at times, right? He couldn't do it consistently. Because, like, you remember the game, he threw for, like, over 300 yards against the Chiefs that one game. That went to overtime.
You're right. And so, and the other thing...
I'm not going to count Kendall Hinton, I believe is his name.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's a wide receiver.
Because he's not an NFL quarterback. He's an NFL wide receiver who had to play quarterback.
The other thing is, I had the thought go through my head.
Who may have thrown the ball more times in that game than Mac Jones.
I think he did.
Against the Bills.
I think he did. I had the thought of, like, well, you know what the Broncos ought to do? Just try drafting a quarterback and just see what happens. And then, you know, obviously Drew Lock was a second rounder. Well, when's the last time I took a quarterback the first round? Oh, yeah, Paxton Lynch. Like, that is a nightmare. There are some bad first-round quarterback picks. We've seen lots of teams have lots of issues. Paxton Lynch, it was
just
an abomination of a pick for them.
Because at least Brock Osweiler was a second-round pick, and, like, he was bad, but he was able to, like, get chances for a while, right? Like, he was able to, like, kind of stick around in the league for a little bit and convince teams that, hey, I might have something in there. Paxton Lynch couldn't even do that.
Paxton Lynch
was a first-round pick.
Was the 26th overall pick. Do you know how many games he started over the course of his NFL career?
Like maybe 6 or 7?
4.
Like he was.
Do you know how bad it has to get for a team to pass on to give up on a first-round quarterback on 4 starts?
A first-round quarterback not making at least double-digit starts is almost it's almost unheard of.
When's the last time that happened?
I mean, and not even a first-round pick, but a quarterback who you draft who you think is like the future. Because I remember like when the Chiefs drafted Brody Crowell, obviously he's a third-round pick, but they believed he was potentially the quarterback of the future, right? He made like 10 or 11 starts. He was a third-round pick. Never won a game, but he made those starts.
I'll Venmo you $1 right now if you can tell me the last roster Paxton Lynch was on.
Oh, goodness. The Jets.
No.
Texans.
No.
Broncos.
No.
Was he a Chief?
I'm going to cut these in half each time. That's now for 12.5 cents. That was the Chiefs was the guess there. No.
Vikings.
No, that's now we're down to 6.25
I feel like I should know this, but I just don't. I know he was on another team for like training camp. But
here's the
Raiders.
Thing. No. I think that brings us about 1.75-ish cents, somewhere there, a little less than 2 cents, I think.
The Dallas Renegades.
No, I believe he's a Saskatchewan Rough Rider currently.
Good for him.
Or was most recently. So here's the thing: you're going to think this is the answer, not the answer. The Seahawks signed him to a reserve future deal.
Yeah.
The Steelers added him to their practice squad at one point.
I do remember that.
Active roster for a minute. Cut him, and he has not made another appearance. I don't think he was ever on an active roster for them. I don't think he was ever game day active.
Yeah, I do not.
He never threw a pass.
I do not remember Seattle. I do remember Pittsburgh though. Now
he apparently wore number 5 there and has 0 total stats.
That checks out.
And apparently the Chiefs were legitimately interested in Paxton Lynch.
That's
in
the
that
story,
draft.
man.
Can you imagine?
You're
going to play that nightmare game for a second? The Chiefs
bad?
don't end up with Patrick Mahomes because they drafted Paxton Lynch and it threw off their entire development cycle.
Which would have been such a Chief thing to have happened.
Oh, God, yeah.
But as bad
1 year before they found their light in the darkness, they would have taken Paxton Lynch instead.
As bad as he's been is why I'm not totally sure that story is true, because I just can't believe that like Andy Reid and Brett Veach were like, this guy might have something. And just to be that wrong, right? Like plenty of teams are wrong, but to be that wrong just doesn't feel like that would happen. But I mean, hey, I guess everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect.
Some very small sliver of me wants to know what he would have looked like with Andy Reid or whatever.
Be better. I'm confident. I feel like I can confidently say he would have started more than 4 games for the Chiefs. I don't know if they've been good.
That was
right?
Gary Kubiak's last year.
It might be kind of Nick Foles like with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't think it would have been in the abomination.
But even he didn't play that much. He wasn't total Nathan Peterman.
Would probably be in the NFL still if he had been drafted by the Chiefs.
Unless they gave up on him equally quickly, because I tell you what, that's a red flag. You find a quarterback that Andy Reid had in camp for 45 minutes and said, never mind, that's terrifying. Also, Trevor Siemian looks like a pirate.
Good for Trevor Siemian, though, man. That dude's just been, like, he was like a 7th-round draft pick.
I'm sorry, I meant Paxton Lynch.
Oh, Paxton
Lynch.
Back on. Yeah.
Paxton Lynch looks sort of like a...
He definitely does. But Trevor Siemian, man, just making money.
Charming pirate.
Just living a good life, right? Just chilling.
Starting football. Well,
NFL quarterback.
Taysom Hill back in the
just being, just living his best life.
And then he after injury got that job, and now a fullback is taking it from him.
Yeah, he doesn't want to actually. Here's the thing: once you get to Trevor Siemian's point in life, you don't really actually want to play anymore. Like you're just trying to be on a team.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone will agree with that.
Just like I know Gardner Minshew likes football. He clearly does, right? I don't know how much Gardner Minshew actually wants to be a starter, which is why games like this are huge, because he goes out there and has that first half that he does. He's just locked him. He has guaranteed himself another 5 years in this league. Easy.
On that game.
Easy.
I think that there's got to be a cutoff somewhere age-wise. I think Gardner Minshew would like to play every second of football that he can get. I think Chad Henney's fine with how it is. You know what I mean?
Chad Henne does not want to play football anymore. Like, he wants to be on an NFL roster, but he does not want to play football anymore. 100%. He'll do it if he needs to, right? Like, if Patrick Mahomes gets hurt in a playoff game, he's like, sure, I'll come and I'll throw a football to Tyreek Hill.
Where are we at on Marlins man as a society?
Yeah. Is he at this game?
He's at this Heat Bucks game that's on ESPN right now.
Kudos to Marlins man for
Same
not having
jersey.
a story come out that's gotten him canceled yet. So
I guess.
that must mean he's, as much as he's been in the public for as long as he has been, the fact that he has been canceled means he's probably a decent human being or just really good at keeping it covered. So, but I guess, hey, props to that, I guess.
It's just that he basically created a uniform for himself. Like, this is an entire Miami Marlins aesthetic ago, and it's the orange jersey and the orange visor, and you know that's Marlins man. I can't remember that man's real name, but it doesn't matter. He's Marlins man. What?
Oh yeah, he's a lawyer.
That's where his money came from?
That's how he has all this money to like go everywhere. He's a lawyer.
What if you needed legal help?
Marlins man.
And then a man in a bright orange Marlins jersey and a bright orange visor walks into the room.
If I'm in the greater Miami area and I hire him as my lawyer, I am demanding that he wears that. Even if he tells me that it is likely we will lose, I'm like, I don't care. I'll go to jail for 30 years to have you wear this.
I just Googled Marlins man lawyer.
I think he has his own law firm, or at least is the partner of one.
I would like. Here's the thing: is I think I want to see a picture of this man in a suit practicing law. But I also feel like it might be like seeing Guy Fieri without his hair bleached and without the flame shirts and the sweatbands and the glasses in the back of his head and everything.
So like I typed in Marlins man lawyer and I went to images, and the first photo that pops up that is not Marlins man in, his classic orange jersey is not even actually a picture of Marlins man. It's a picture of Donald Trump trying to catch a baseball.
Huh.
Not very well, I might add.
He doesn't look very confident. That's
Nope.
true. No, he doesn't look very confident catching this baseball.
Yeah, there's Royals are on here. There's a Royals picture. Like, seriously, I cannot find...
Every single picture of Marlins man on the internet, he is wearing an orange visor and at least an orange shirt. I found him here wearing an orange polo with the same visor.
Yeah.
Even that feels like seeing your teacher in the grocery store, I imagine.
Oh, here he is wearing an orange Miami University jersey.
Visor?
With the visor. Holding up the U sign.
Oh, I see this one also. And under that, then Google starts warning you that you might start getting the things you don't want to see.
That's all I need to know, Google. Thank you.
I just want to see him not. Well, here he is wearing a panda hat. One of them is white, one of them is orange. Did Pablo Sandoval end up a Marlin at some point? I'm confused about the implications of this panda hat.
Well, he goes to just every event, even if it's not the Marlins.
Maybe he went to a Pablo Sandoval based giveaway for another team somewhere.
They were in 3 World Series,
Yeah, I've not found a picture of Marlins man just in law practicing attire. And I really feel like I really wanted to find something.
Marlins man and the people he takes to these games. Women about 30 years younger than him. Just living his best life. And no public scandal yet. I mean, honestly, hats off to you, Marlins man. 99% of people in that situation absolutely have had a scandal come out about them at this point.
So who is Frank Gore fighting?
Darren Williams.
Darren Williams. Frank Gore and Darren Williams are fighting. It's a Jake Paul undercard. Or either the undercard to a Jake Paul fight, right? If we could just add Marlins man versus X Factor to that card, I think it might end up leading me to the first time I've ever paid for a pay-per-view.
I don't know if that's fair to Marlins man. Because X Factor's got some real real issues.
Yeah, but I also think Marlins man probably
He
holds his own there.
But they
you know,
haven't come out yet. I guess is my point.
No, I understand, but like I feel like Marlins man might be down for the fight though. You know what I mean? Like I just think
yeah, that's fair.
I think that that throwing those two dudes, preferably in an octagon, would just we would come away with some crazy footage of that. Rudy, do you remember whenever I told you 40 minutes ago that usually the first segment of a Sad Fans hour doesn't go on for very long, and now it's 8:40?
I do.
What should we do about that?
Should probably
I have an idea. Let's take a break.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio.
headline I just saw that surprised me for two reasons. From TMZ, Jalen Rose filed for divorce from ESPN host Molly Karam. TMZ Sports has learned.
I didn't know he was married to her.
I didn't know they were married either. That's what was most surprising to me. What a curveball. I just had I had no idea. I feel like those things usually end up, having us all find out about, or at least it's in the sort of public consciousness. I know that Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian are going out.
Pete Davidson's living the weirdest, craziest, I guess, best life for him. Which, hey, Pete, go do your thing.
He is a unique chart timeline story
like
person.
His, Smart Water commercials.
I don't know if I've seen them.
Basically, like one of them is like it's basically him saying like, did I make the decision to get all these really bad tattoos put all over my body and now having to painfully take them all off because I wasn't drinking Smart Water? It's like, no, that's probably not it, but I still drink Smart Water. Essentially along those lines of like, I made some really bad decisions in my life. Would Smart Water have helped me? Probably not, but it's really good for you and yada, 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 yada. He
did a late night interview. I think it was probably Seth Meyers. I don't know. Pete Davidson, weirdly, one of a very small number of celebrities that I guess I follow for fun. I don't know why I do it. And I'm not 100. I mean, I know why it's Pete Davidson that intrigues me, because tell me who else is like Pete Davidson as a person in the public eye. But he was telling a story about getting some of those tattoos removed, and he said the worst part of it was the tattoo remover having to verbally confirm with each. They have to confirm before they start zapping at a tattoo, and so the tattoo zapper says, "All right, Pete, you want to get rid of the Tootsie Pop owl tattoo?" It's like, "Yeah, I do want to get rid of that one."
This weirdly sounds familiar to me.
Does it?
Yeah.
I think it was late in the interview. Maybe it was I don't know. I think it was
Josh, do you want to get the pine cone on fire tattooed off of
Oh
you?
no.
Yeah.
No, in fact, I've got new tattoo plans. I have active new plans. I'm going to be a mess, man.
There's nothing wrong with your tattoos. I genuinely like them, but like the whole like Tootsie Pop, like that whole thing, I was just like that is very much like a pine cone on fire.
Yeah. I am
which I do really like.
Thank you, Ernie.
I'm a big fan of the pine cone on fire.
I am probably the last tattoo that I got was the most spur of the moment one. My main tattoo artist had like an appointment canceled and had somebody had a spot open, and I went in without really knowing what I was gonna get, but I knew that like I was down that day. Because sometimes if you listen,
It was a tattoo day.
if you're paralyzed by choice, sometimes you need to maybe you just need to act a little bit. And it wasn't like my first tattoo, and it wasn't on my freaking throat, which is my next one. Sorry, Mom. Sorry you had to find out this way. But I went in, like, it was more spur of the moment, but I had a little bit of an idea ahead of time, I guess, because they posted some of like their base designs that you can kind of evolve off of and all of them. My other ones were very like designed in advance and thought about for a while and all of those things. And the one I've been working on that I think will be my next one is very much like been planned out for a while, that I'm trying to get the design figured out and all of that. That one might end up being the first highly visible one as well. We'll see where it goes. But my other ones, I got chest ones and one and the flaming the whack bat pine cone on fire is on my inner left bicep. Anyway, I think I am probably 1 or 2 tattoos away from one that I even know at the time is a dumb idea. I'm not there right now. Like, if someone was like, do you want to go get a tattoo of the Tootsie Pop owl? I'd be like, that's pretty funny. I would have a t-shirt with a Tootsie Pop owl for sure, but probably not a tattoo. But I feel like you get a couple tattoos farther down the road and you start thinking, at this point, sure, why not?
You get enough tattoos, you're gonna get one that you regret. I remember JJ Redick talking about it. I forget what it was, but he had like lyrics like on his arm.
I also remember this story.
He had them I think for a couple years, and then he realized, and he got it done at a place that was a bar/tattoo parlor.
Oh no!
And so like he did not go there to get necessarily a tattoo, but he was there, and then he ends up with these lyrics on his arm. And he then eventually, put the sleeve on the arm and covered up that tattoo because he was just like, I hated looking at it so much. He works for ESPN now. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, I found this out. He was on ESPN Daily a day or two ago.
I remember that the band was. I thought it was honestly more embarrassing than this, but this is still kind of a funny band to have lyrics tattooed from. It was a Kings of Leon tattoo.
That's right.
It's not quite Nickelback or whatever.
No, but it's not far removed.
It's a little tough.
Nothing against Kings of Leon or anything. It's just they are in that kind of that they're in that Imagine Dragons Nickelback type of like they've got some bangers. We can all admit it. But like there's something about like if you admit to liking them at some point if you admit to liking them, everybody just kind of laughs at you. Coldplay went through this. Coldplay though, I think Coldplay though might have got out of that. There was definitely a time where if like you were like I listen to Coldplay, people made fun of you. I think Coldplay went through that phase and then got out of that phase.
I think Coldplay is back in that phase. I think they might have gone because Coldplay may have gone full circle.
I have no problem admitting I like Coldplay.
Have you listened to recent Coldplay at all?
It's been a while since I have.
It's gotten wacky.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The lyric tattooed on JJ Redick's left forearm said, I guess, single book of matches gonna burn what's standing in my way. I thought it had something to do with
matches or like a cigarette, and that's so good.
Well, he got a full sleeve over that.
Yeah. Or at least, part of his sleeve was to cover. I don't think he decided, like, I have this one bad tattoo on my arm, so I might as well just cover my entire arm. But, like, that was at least part of the process.
Generally speaking, I don't want to scare people off of tattoos. I think more people should get them. Just get a real artist at not a bar / tattoo shop. Get good work from people who have done good work before, and you can't regret it that much. Like, don't get your recent girlfriend's name, and don't get the Tootsie Pop owl unless not for your first one.
Your first tattoo shouldn't be on your face.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Your
also.
fifth tattoo,
Yeah.
At that point, you kind of know what you like.
That's gonna be where mine goes. And it's actually just gonna be, well, it's gonna be my favorite Kings of Leon lyric, and it goes, oh, we're out of time?
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 Sports Radio 810 WHB.
That one takes a double meaning whenever I spend every commercial break blowing my nose. I don't know if it's
Because of the cold weather.
It's not.
It's bad for you.
It's not true. That's not how that works. That's a myth.
It gave you diabetes.
The cold gave me diabetes.
Facts. Facebook taught me this.
Speaking of Facebook and also Twitch and YouTube, if you want to watch the show and see it with your own eyes, you can watch our live stream wherever you want on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube channels. You get your pick of the three. You can also leave your comments and chat along in the comment section.
Chaotic Warrior says Marlins man is a cool dude. Met him a couple times.
I was gonna ask if you knew who he was in this comment, because Chaotic Warrior said he's also a very cool dude.
I meant to mention that when we were talking
that was
about
Marlins,
it, but it
man.
popped up during that segment. So Chaotic Warrior, we're a little rusty, I would say, acknowledging the Twitch chat tonight. It's been a while.
I'm out of practice. Yeah, I mean, I would say this whole show's been rusty.
Yeah,
you know, we're shaking it off still.
To a degree, I would say we never left.
Yeah,
A short 40-minute segment in the second hour. For bleeding into the 8 o'clock hour. Because we went the first 14 minutes of that interview talking about if Clark Hunt buys McChickens.
We are in mid-season form, but we're still the Lions. You know, that's how I feel. Let's talk about all that with Jordan Foote. You can follow him on Twitter at FootNoted. You can read his work at arrowheadreport.com, a part of Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation Network. They do some good work over there, mostly Jordan. And you can also, of course, listen to the Roughing the Kicker Chiefs podcast. Today's episode features a real jerk. It's me. I was Jordan's guest for this morning's episode. So that's available wherever you get your podcast as well. Jordan, first things first here. This is what we spent the open of the show talking about. When do you think was the last time that Clark Hunt went through a drive-thru?
I'd say within the past year he's been through one. I'm not going to put him above that. I think he has. Now, he probably hasn't really within, several years, but I'm going to have faith in him and say that it was within the past year, even with COVID and all that good stuff.
See, there's no chance he's been since the pandemic. It would be the parade, since the parade, although maybe immediately after he wanted to, be out on the town a little bit. Well, go ahead and continue to bring me through this vision of yours. What drive-thru is Clark Hunt in a way that is not completely alien in this beautiful world you're painting for us?
I don't know. Maybe he wanted some Chick-fil-A or wanted, one of those, not... Obviously, Chick-fil-A is still fast food as you can get it through the drive-thru, all that good stuff. But, it's... I don't know. They're nicer, I guess. I just like to see Clark Hunt going through a drive-thru. And I've been through several drive-thrus in the past year. I know Clark Hunt is not only in a different world. He's in, several different universes ahead of me. But I just would like to think one day, someone in his family said, I want insert food that requires a drive-thru. And he said, you know what? Dang it, we're not going to have one of the billion, food deliveries. But then again, if Joshua Brisco and Jordan Foote can talk on a Tuesday night yesterday about, I'm hungry, let's have someone deliver it, then I would assume then again Clark Hunt would say, I have oodles of money more than them. With that said, I do have a more important question, I think, than the Clark Hunt drive-thru one.
Okay, I'm ready.
Was that sneeze emoji intro cut today, or was that from a prior time I came on?
Oh, that's in the archives.
Yeah.
No, that's in the archives.
Oh, man.
Beard's
That's
cut that
beautiful.
at some point.
Yeah, no, we you know how The Simpsons did everything first? We have a liner for everything.
I've had people here ask me why we don't put our liners in the system, and like Jason Justice is a little bit annoyed that we don't have our liners in the system. It's we have hundreds of them.
Hundreds.
And we try to play something that is very specific to either what happened in the previous segment or what is coming up in the next segment.
Yeah, I wonder, do you think Jason ever asked, I don't know, Salvador Dali why he didn't put his art all on the same size canvases? Why they weren't all painted in perfect realism? Because artists do things differently, Jason. That is hurtful that he would not respect that. Did you have a question, Rudy, or an idea that you wanted to run by Jordan here before we do some Chiefy things?
I think I came up with a potential Clark Hunt went through a drive-through. A part of me feels like he might have had to when Whataburger opened up their very first one. Like for a little picture photo op.
You think he sat in a drive-through for 4 hours?
No. They had it like he was like the first person in line. I'm not saying he said it.
Interesting. Okay.
Because let's be honest, it's a Whataburger is not in Kansas City without Patrick Mahomes. There is a Chiefs Whataburgers relationship. That's just a fact.
We talked about Paxton Lynch earlier. The butterfly effect. If the Chiefs draft Paxton Lynch, there's no Whataburger in Kansas City. Imagine explaining that to somebody in a time machine in 2016. Listen, if the Chiefs draft Paxton Lynch, quarterback out of Memphis.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, or the city of Kansas City. Sorry,
that's my skill.
That's Rudy's skill. The Chiefs draft Paxton Lynch here, and then Whataburger is another decade away from coming to Kansas City.
Maybe never.
So, big brain thinking here, and I'm almost certain that this wasn't the case. But Patrick Mahomes said during the bye week he was able to sneak over for like a midnight rendezvous at Whataburger. What if it was like a, not Chiefs-wide thing, obviously, because some of those guys probably, A, don't like Whataburger, B, couldn't care less about it.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me think either... I also can't picture Clark Hunt and Patrick Mahomes meeting up at, like, late-night Whataburger, but also maybe that's, like, not just the Patrick Mahomes thing, and if there is a time and a place for guys to get over there and use their, money to their advantage and make that happen, perhaps that's it. I mean, I don't know. I guess
Clark Hunt could build a Whataburger in his backyard!
I think Jordan's onto something here. Because here's the thing. There are 5 people within the Chiefs organization who are truly, like, by themselves, right? It's Clark Hunt, it's Andy Reid, it's Brett Veach, Mark Donovan, Patrick Mahomes.
Clark Hunt employs the other 4 people there, though.
But those are the 5.
He's so much richer than the other people.
Those are the 5.
Okay.
Here's the thing, though. But if you're Clark Hunt and your quarterback's like, hey, like, it's 11:59, he's like, you up. And he's like, hey, you want to go over to Whataburger real fast? You don't say no. What have we learned? You keep your quarterback happy.
Bigger question. How much would Clark Hunt have to pay? And I want to hear from Rudy, too. I should do that more often. Rudy and Josh. We'll go with Josh first, I guess. How much would you have to get paid from Clark Hunt to, like, wait in, not a Whataburger line today, like, I'd assume it's still outrageously long, but, like, within the first few days, like within the first 7 days of it opening, how much would you have to get paid from Clark Hunt to not only pick it up but then deliver it to his house?
$50 in gas.
$49.99. I'll pay for the gas myself.
That's it.
To do one Uber Eats delivery? Yeah. I would
You'd have to wait for like 4 hours.
I got a podcast.
I got my Switch.
Oh my God!
I'm not going to leave my car in idle. I'll just turn it off. I'll just sit there and chill.
Oh. You'd have to pay me at least like 3 or 4, maybe even 500. Like that would be the most expensive Whataburger trip anyone would ever pay for in their entire life.
My time is not that valuable.
Touché.
We did play this game a little bit earlier because I mentioned that Beards is Beards is a bad person to play this game with because like Beards, how much would you have to get paid for you to give yourself a paper cut? And he'll be like, $10 million. And we're like, Beards, that's not realistic. For Rudy, if it's like, hey, Rudy, how much would I have to pay you to jump off this balcony and land on your head? He'd be like, I don't know, $750.
I can make the jump.
And they are both on the extremes of that. I think I'm much closer to the middle, where I will pay someone to deliver my food through an app, but if Clark Hunt wanted to hand me... I also made this point earlier, Jordan. If I had oil baron money... I would just have a bag of hundreds, so I could just take a little Benny Frank out of my bag and just offer it to a random person, and then ask them to do something for me for $100. Here, you can have this $100 bill if you'll go get my lunch and then bring it back to me. Whatever. I feel like I would do that all the time.
Clark Hunt probably, now that I think of it, hasn't been through a drive-thru in the past year. I don't know if I've held a Benny Frank in my hand in the past year. Like with COVID and, everyone going debit, I can't think of the last time. Obviously, I don't have many Benny Franks to begin with, but when I have had Benny Franks, I think they've been digital. I don't think I've held one in the past year.
I always make sure to be able to hold tightly a bill of our greatest president ever. It's a weekly. I try to at least once a week just hold
He's on
tightly
the
onto
100,
our
right?
greatest president ever.
Because Washington's on the $1
Yeah,
bill,
Benjamin
right? We need to go
Franklin,
through this.
the best
We need to go through
president this United States of America has ever had. I make sure to hold him at least once a week.
Lincoln's
Tax-free,
on the
I might
5, correct?
Correct. Jackson's on the 20, right?
Yeah,
Skip
Yeah.
the 10. 10's
Well, I don't know who's on the
10's
team.
Jefferson, I think.
Okay.
yeah.
I just know
50
Jackson.
is 50's a forgotten bill.
50 is Grant? Is that right?
I don't
Ulysses
know.
Grant.
Because I don't care about those Benjamins.
Yeah, might as well be Joshua Briscoe at that point.
Greatest president ever.
Who's your
I don't
favorite
know.
president ever, Jordan?
I don't
And
know.
why is it
I
Benjamin
kinda-
Franklin? 50
It
is
has to
Grant.
be Benjamin Franklin.
I was going to say Kennedy, but like I don't know enough
Robert
about
Kennedy?
any of these guys. John, I don't
Ted?
know enough about these guys. I just think that Kennedy was cool and hip, and like back then I would have been like, this guy is it. But then I don't. I'm just not intelligent enough to have that conversation, I guess. And we're on the radio, and I don't want to ruin your guys' Twitch/Facebook stream, so we have to keep the politics talk to a minimum.
Yeah, he didn't have the longevity for my liking. I feel bad for making that joke, but man, it's
Dude,
good.
it's such a good joke. Rudy said that in my ears, and I was not going to speak until he said that on the radio. It's a good joke. Saying that John F. Kennedy is lower on your presidential power rankings because he didn't have the longevity is such a good joke. It's been a long time,
It has
Rudy.
been
We
a
can
long
make that
time.
joke.
It has been a long
No,
time.
that's quality, especially coming from Rudy. Rudy always gets like a couple bonus points, but that was quality stuff.
He's the Jamal Charles of presidents. He's still a Hall of Famer
Oh,
in my
boy.
book, but didn't have longevity.
But elite talent. You saw it. It was special. It was different.
This is the first time I've been able to put the almost and almost entirely sports. It's almost always, I come on, and like Josh has already had a ton of fun conversations, which I mean, he did have Kent freaking Swanson on, but it's usually, I come on, Josh ignores me for about 2.5 minutes. Then says, oh, Jordan's on the other line, then continues whatever he's talking about, then picks back up, and we immediately talk Chiefs, and there's like one plug at the end, and then we get out. So this was refreshing.
I did have that thought earlier because I don't want to spoil any plans for maybe typical guests in the rotation that may be returning soon as we get some more shows back as football season winds down and all of that. But I did have the thought of we do just have you on to help us talk about Chief stuff, and we'll probably talk Royals with you at some point during the summer. But you don't have a nonsense bit that is intrinsic to your time with us here. So I think that keeping that in mind, really developing that part of your game, I think could be huge. And maybe you just come in with a fun presidential fact. Maybe you update your presidential power rankings every week.
How about a fun University of Kentucky stat or something every week?
Well, they're all fun.
Like that very much,
I love
personally.
that.
So let's talk about the Chiefs here.
Why should Will Levis be the Chiefs' next quarterback?
Aren't you going to lose your head
UKKU,
coach?
It's all the same.
No, he signed an extension. We're good.
Yeah, no college
He's-
football coach has ever signed an extension and
It's
left shortly
literally
thereafter.
never happened.
Literally never.
Contracts are written in blood, sweat, and tears.
And for
Big Blue Nation for life.
Kentucky football, it's mostly been tears.
I mean, we're a football school, so you don't leave a premier
Who
Kentucky.
did they lose to this year?
Nobody that bad actually. Georgia,
What,
Tennessee,
3 in a row? Tennessee was
Well,
rough. Who was
and
third?
Tennessee's good. Mississippi State
Okay.
finished second in the SEC East. First, the second time we've done that. But
Jordan,
we're
you want to just
we're like a top 10 college football job though. You don't leave those jobs.
yeah, Kentucky's a top
USC,
10. Yeah,
Bama,
yeah.
Kentucky.
I would say Kentucky's right there with Notre Dame, Oklahoma. Those jobs you just don't leave.
Honestly, I would say Kentucky's above those jobs because our coach didn't leave.
That's the joke that I was making. At least we got 2 passes at it. Shoot or shoot.
We got a Stoops, okay? Everything's fine.
You have a Stoops.
We have a Stoops. There's 2 good Stoops brothers. The third one is not very good at coaching football, but we got one of the good ones.
Where's the third Stoops?
Stoops' brother.
The Mike Stoops was at Oklahoma when Bob was there. I don't know where he's at now.
We really do waste Jordan's time, I feel like, more than our other guests.
I brought this up.
Defensive
though. It's my own
coordinator,
fault.
Florida Atlantic.
Was that worth interrupting Jordan for?
It was.
Jordan, you and I talked literally yesterday, as we have both now pointed out, about a bunch of the things currently going on around the Chiefs. We can also begin, I suppose, to pivot from Broncos to Raiders because we're at that halfway point in the week. But I do still continue to be on an everlasting search for somebody to come up with something especially poignant from Sunday's game. Kent had a couple of good things that I thought were interesting. But whenever you've gone back to reevaluate what it is that we've talked about, what it is that we saw against the Broncos, do you feel like you have a point of reference for something that you learned in this game that you did not know going into it?
Man, you always take away little bits and pieces. Like, I think we talked about the wideout snap distribution.
Yep.
I think it's no longer like Andy Reid said, some games aren't yours and some games are in regards to McCall Hardman. I think they're literally, and I don't want to be dramatic, I hardly ever overreact, or I don't try to. I think they're effectively like throwing in the towel on him being a prominent piece as a wide receiver. He can still be I hate using the gadget label, but a gadget guy. Kind of get those jet sweeps, those misdirections, get him in space, let him use his speed. He's not even returning right now. Like, that is not a good sign for his future with the team. Josh Gordon, his snap count went down big time. He didn't even receive a target, if I'm not mistaken, against the Broncos. So no longer, I believed for quite a while when Reid said it was Gordon's time soon and it was eventually going to pop for him. He shouldn't need this long to get in football shape. He looks to be in great shape out there. The physical freak that everyone claims him to be. I think part of it's definitely on Josh Gordon for not getting open as much. Also, this is kind of what people should have been worried about when the Chiefs signed him. One, he hadn't played football in a year and a half or 2 years. Two, it's a timing-based offense that requires like finesse and route running and, consistent hands. Not to say Josh Gordon drops a ton, but he doesn't always get open the easiest. It's hard for him to get separation sometimes, especially if he's lost even half a step. That's a really big deal. He's not a tight end. He's a wide receiver in the NFL. So I think wideout-wise, we learned a lot. And then defensively, I think Melvin Ingram has definitely solidified his place in Kansas City as not only a solid player, but even I'd call him a good one. His run defense has been very stout. The pressure rate since he's joined the team has been great. Safety-wise, Dan Swanson, we still didn't learn too much about him, I don't think, besides he's going to keep fighting, which is, good for him. Linebacker-wise, I think Willie Gay Jr. was the standout of that game. He came a few inches away from a pick six, what would have likely been a pick six. He had either 6 or 8 tackles. He played really well. The game, it's the, stereotypical the game is slowing down, like that cliche that everyone says. I don't think he's quite there yet in terms of him being decisive against play action and everything really slowing down for him, but he's still really inexperienced. He didn't have a ton of game reps in college. He came into the league with that PFF rating and coverage that everyone kind of clung to and said, well, Willie Gay's going to be the next Derek Johnson. It's taking him a while to still get a grasp on that, and he's still not going to be the dime linebacker until possibly 2022. With that said, he really seems to be coming along pretty well. He is the most athletic linebacker they have by a wide margin, unless you consider Dorian O'Daniel. He's obviously up there, but he's not getting the reps.
Yeah.
So I think a few things stuck out, some good and some not so good.
Well, so, we're at this point now, and one thing that Kent mentioned that I thought was a good point was that what we learned for sure is that a bye-week renaissance for the offense didn't happen. They didn't assess that and then come back with a fundamentally different looking offense without any of their same problems and all of that. And so kind of in that realm, if not specifically to that point, whenever you look at this team right now, very much in the home stretch, very much totally in control of themselves in the AFC West, in control of where they're going to land in the AFC to a certain extent. They would need some help, but we'll see how that would all shake out. But whenever you look at where we are now, or you can no longer talk about being early in the season or even just talk about the bye week, what are you worried about with this team figuring out or executing or whatever it may be by the time the playoffs actually get here?
Worried that they're not going to do it, man. I mean, at a certain point, you are who you are as a team. And the Chiefs, I told you yesterday, they've gotten a longer leash than just about any other program in the NFL would. We've seen that offense play well before. Andy Reid said it himself. He's seen all those guys do terrific things and dominate in the past. It's not just one thing, though. It's inconsistent play calling. It's being conservative and then putting your foot on the gas when you shouldn't. It's Patrick Mahomes being up and down. It's Tyreek Hill dropping passes. It's Travis Kelce being injured and dropping passes. It's McCole Hardman not breaking out. It's Clyde Edwards-Helaire being injured and then coming back and still not being featured heavily in the receiving game. There's just a lot of things that aren't falling correctly. And I said before, it's a rhythm game. I genuinely believe in that. I think if they can come out against the Raiders and play a good game, if they can come out against the Chargers and play a good one where they have literally a back-to-back, because, I mean, we can go through their schedule right now. They started in Cleveland, played pretty decent. Baltimore played pretty decent, but then had the fumble at the end. Chargers, the turnovers killed them. The Eagles game, late, they played well. Buffalo got blown out. Washington played well. Tennessee got blown out. The Giants, they didn't play particularly well. The Packers, the same thing. Raiders, Cowboys, Broncos, they just haven't been able to string together those offensive performances back to back to back. So if they can settle into a groove, it's going to be a focus thing where they appear to be magically more focused. They suddenly appear to be connecting receiver and quarterback-wise, getting on the same page. It's hard to improve that stuff during a season. That's kind of off-season stuff and training camp stuff. I think the Mahomes injury kind of not stunted his growth, but the Chiefs maybe expected him to automatically adjust to a new line. And the loss of Sammy Watkins, I think that took longer than people expected it to. He's still learning and still getting better. They also forget he's 26 years old or however old he is. They just need to settle into a groove. And the defense did it and now is playing dominant football. I think the same thing's possible for the offense. It's weird that I had a lot of faith in the defense at least playing better. I'm not entirely sure the offense is going to snap out of this. It's not going to be very pretty if come playoff time they're putting up 22, 24 points against some good offenses. With that said, we've seen them do it before, and I think they're definitely just in need of probably 2 good games in a row. They'll be back on track.
Which obviously isn't a guarantee, so I think that's interesting. If we don't see some sort of rejuvenation or something that makes you believe that, hey, you know what, they are going to have both, the best defense perhaps in the Spags era here in Kansas City if things continue going the way they've been trending for a while, and the offense gets right. If they get there, then I'm prepared to pick them on the road at New England and Mac Jones. But if they don't do that, it all of a sudden now becomes a much larger question. And I know I've seen your many tweets about the quarterback who I just mentioned, who just won a football game throwing 3 passes. I know that you are aware of what the rest of the conference is bringing to the table here. So where would you feel comfortable projecting the Chiefs in comparison to the rest of the conference at this point, just with the version of the team that we have seen over the last 5 weeks or so?
Yeah, man, I've said this before, and this is a very, very, very basic, simplified version of how I feel about football.
Mm-hmm.
And there's data that says, the top seed is more likely to win. The teams that are consistently great are more likely to win, blah, blah, blah. I think weird stuff happens in the playoffs. You just have to get in and have the best coach and have the best quarterback, that gives you a terrific advantage. If you're the most talented team or close to it and you can simply find your way in, you can get hot and really play well. You can also look really, really, really good, and it's entirely possible you get upset. Both of those are either more or less likely depending on the outcome, or I guess the positive or negative in those situations. But, the Chiefs could look really good for the next 5 weeks, then come out flat in their first playoff game and lose, or they could not figure anything out and then suddenly look good in their first playoff game in the entire run. The entire AFC almost among the playoff field, I could see 3 or 4 of those teams making really deep playoff runs. I could also see those same teams dropping their first game in an embarrassing fashion. I think the Chiefs they're past the losing in embarrassing fashion thing. We haven't seen them lose in 5 weeks. We don't know if they lose what the offense looks like when they're trailing big, stuff like that. That we've seen them trail big in the playoffs before, and they put some magical stuff together. I don't have faith in them right now to do that. So you compare them to the rest of the AFC. If Tennessee gets Derrick Henry back, they're going to be scary. They're slowly getting healthier week by week. It's a long-haul thing for them. I don't believe in Ryan Tannehill putting the team on his back in a playoff setting, so they need Henry. I think the Colts are an underrated sleeper team, but that's really about it. The Chargers are a year away from doing damage, I think. The Ravens, they've gotten lucky a lot this year and gotten by playing lazy football. Not to say the 2020 Chiefs are the 2021 Ravens or vice versa, but it's going to catch up to them at some point, I think. It started to against the Steelers last week. The Bills, I don't know what to think about them. They just haven't looked good since they started off and quote-unquote won their Super Bowl in Week 5. I think New England's the biggest threat. I think if they can dictate the game and, like you said earlier, get out to a bit of a lead, a 10-0, a 14-3, something like that, Bill Belichick knows how to confuse Patrick Mahomes, or at least he has in the past. Get out to a good first half, play conservative football. Can the Chiefs find it in them to come back? Maybe. With that said, if the Chiefs start out strong, I like Mac Jones as much as the next guy, if not a little bit more. I don't trust him to do what it needs to be done in a playoff setting to win those big games. He's a rookie. He isn't the most physically gifted quarterback. He's very smart, but still so inexperienced. And I just haven't seen him do it yet. So it all depends on how they start, I think. And they've been starting off well, but at a certain point you have to be able to sustain that. And the Chiefs haven't been able to do it for 4 quarters this year.
One of the interesting things there is you mentioned that you think there are I think you said 3 or 4 teams you could see making a deep run. And it's funny to me because 2 of them literally have to. A conference championship game is a deep run in my mind, and 2 teams have to end up there, which is I also think kind of the interesting thing about where the Chiefs are at right now, because if they have 2 or 3 really good offensive performances in a row, if they have it against the Chargers and Bengals or whatever, well then I think you can play that game of you could bet right now on a Chiefs-Patriots AFC Championship game rematch, but it's Mac Jones instead of Tom Brady. Or one of those teams you feel pretty good about making it, or you just feel good about the Chiefs, whatever. But right now, where the Patriots just won a game in spite of them not trusting their quarterback, the elements were obviously a factor. I understand that. But, it was jarring to watch. And a rookie, nonetheless, with putting that in the equation as well. You get Bill Belichick and a rookie quarterback, and then you get all of these other 8-4 teams, and then a couple of 7-5 teams below that, where I don't think you can be shocked if I told you right now, the Patriots, Titans, Ravens, Chiefs, Chargers, Bengals, Bills, if any of those 7 teams, that could be your playoff picture, I guess. If I told you any of those 7 teams were in the AFC Championship game, you simply, I don't think, could be shocked by any of those. Steelers, I would be very surprised. You mentioned the Colts, I would be very surprised. The Raiders and Browns, I would be, surprised. But whenever you just have sort of that slushy of 7 teams that are all pretty good, but none of them are great, it's weird for the Chiefs to be in that spot because they haven't been there in a while. but I don't think it's a terrible place to be. It's just not as fun as the last couple of years have been.
Yeah, and everyone has talked about this, really. They've just set the bar so high that, like, when New England was winning ugly games and making the playoffs every year, it was a dynasty, and obviously they had the Super Bowl success to back it up, but it was impressive how they could win double-digit games every year and make stuff happen. The Chiefs are going to end up winning double-digit games. They're going to end up making the playoffs. They are on a 5-game winning streak right now. It just has been in a different way this year. And if they had entirely different weapons on offense and Mahomes had no Kelsey, no Hill, stuff like that, it'd be a different conversation where it wasn't the Chiefs had played good or elite football, all-time great football before on offense, and people don't believe in them to do it. We've seen it happen. They've seen it happen. They believe in it. Most people believe in it. I don't want to say I don't expect them to snap out of this eventually. With that said, it very, very well could be something that sticks with them for the rest of the year. And that's going to be scary because that really lowers their ceiling. But they really haven't shown consistency. I think you just have to hope that they can luck into, quote-unquote, figuring it out either down the stretch this year or have some good moments in the playoffs.
Last thing, real quick, we'll get you out of here. Give me a loose feeling of what you're looking at right now for the Raiders this weekend.
Yeah, man, I just talked to earlier today Hondo Carpenter.
Yes!
Raider Maven. A really good time. Hondo's a great guy.
National treasure.
Chatted about the game. He brought up, he thinks that the Raiders are going to lose the game. We both picked the Chiefs, which I've been on record. The Chiefs are 2-0 against my picking against them this year. So I'm back on the picking the Chiefs side.
Excellent.
I think it's going to be 34-21. I think the Chiefs are going to put up plenty of points. It's going to be one of those – we're going to have the same conversation, just like we had after the first Raiders game, except it's going to be a little bit more competitive. I think it will include, a garbage time touchdown or something like that, where are the Chiefs fixed? They looked great, blah, blah, blah. Then they're going to have a short week in L.A. against the Chargers. Just like they came into the Cowboys game, didn't play great football. That game is going to tell pretty much everything I think we need to know, not only about the Chiefs, but about the AFC West and the Chargers as a whole. But they're going to have a good game Sunday, I expect. Then it's going to come down to on Thursday, can they finally put 2 in a row together?
It is an incredible stretch of football that the Chiefs have with 3 AFC West games in a 17-day span. Not good for human bodies or good for the players playing it as a whole or good for maybe the quality of play even. But it'll be good for us to watch, and I look forward to seeing those 2 games go that way as well. Jordan, thank you for letting us switch up the format for your time with us here tonight. Thank you for making the time for us here tonight. Go order your favorite fast food, and Rudy will go pick it up for you for $50.
Yep, all about player safety and all about Rudy DoorDashing food. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Jordan. I'll tell you what. I mean, here's the thing: the power of money. I want Rudy to rest. I want Rudy to seem less tired generally. But if Jordan was like, Rudy, I'll give you $50 to go pick up this food and bring it to my house, I'd be like, Rudy, we can end the show early if you need to, so you can go make that happen.
I almost got hit in the face with my mic.
Your microphone almost just concussed you. Yes.
Yeah, I'm awake now.
Yeah, because you just got domed by a microphone.
Wake me up real fast.
Yeah, that's also true. Follow Jordan on Twitter at Footnoted, FOOTENOTED. He just does great work that you can see through there, not just on the football side with arrowheadreport.com, but also with Inside the Royals, and he does some basketball in there as well. Just a great follow and a really smart dude that I can say all this about because he hung up before I said all the nice things. Because
that's the trick.
We use humor as a wobbly shield against sincerity around these parts. It's just what we do. So follow him there. You can also check out the Roughing the Kicker Chiefs podcast, which Jordan is the host of. Most recent guest, me. If you're listening to this and think, man, I wish I could hear Jordan and Josh talk for another 30, actually 45, nearly an hour. For nearly 60 minutes, you can check that out wherever you get your podcasts as well. Just search for Roughing the Kicker. We will take a break here on Almost Entirely Sports. Whenever we come back, I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but we've got about 25 minutes of show left. Got to play some commercials. We'll get to the end of our Wednesday all in one piece. That much I can promise. That's next.
Did you know you can listen to listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
I'm really not trying to be defensive or rude to you, YouTube commenter. I'm sorry that I almost certainly sound defensive here.
He's just a mean boy.
I'm just a mean boy. I'm this mean to everyone, not just you.
With Joshua Brisco.
Can confirm.
But shut up, Beards.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Here's a crazy story that does partially appeal to one part of my sports fandom, but also will appeal to everyone in Kansas City if you look at it at the right angle here. The Arizona Coyotes, the hockey team, may be locked out of their arena by the city of Glendale, Arizona, for unpaid arena charges and delinquent tax bills. That's paraphrasing a tweet from Katie Strang of The Athletic. I was going to pull a chunk here from the actual story up in The Athletic. On December 3rd, the Arizona Department of Revenue filed a tax lien notice in Maricopa County against Ice Hockey Arizona LLC, the company that owns the Coyotes, for more than $1.3 million in unpaid state and city taxes. The city of Glendale, which has been locked in a lengthy dispute with the Coyotes over delinquent bills, has already notified ASM, the Gila River Arena Management Company, and Coyotes team president and CEO Xavier Gutierrez of the cancellation of the Coyotes' business license. The city of Glendale is owed approximately $250,000 in unpaid city taxes, according to a letter from city manager Kevin Phelps to Gutierrez, and the remaining account is owed to the state. The state tax lien notice, obtained via public records request, asserts that the Coyotes owe taxes dating back to June 2020. They will have until 5 p.m. Mountains. This is crazy. This is a close of business COB offer here. The Coyotes demand, really. The Coyotes, according to the notice sent to ASM and to the team, will have until 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on December 20th to pay the outstanding arena invoices from the 2020-21 season, as well as the outstanding tax bill. If they do not, this is crazy, if they do not settle up the remaining debt by that time, the city of Glendale has instructed ASM to deny team employees access to the arena and the offices within the arena used as administrative space. Arena vendors would also be locked out. This is sort of a fun little collision I just learned about. Arizona's first home game following the December 20th deadline is December 23rd against the Tampa Bay Lightning. That is my birthday, and the two teams that I care even a tiny bit about in the world of hockey. Like, I would think about actually spending some time on my birthday watching Coyotes Lightning, maybe just wearing my Coyotes jersey with a Lightning hat or something.
Get one of those stitched together jerseys.
A house divided. And this is
a house divided.
A tale as old as time. A house divided. Arizona Coyotes, Tampa Bay Lightning. I think generally if people want to have teams they root for in either conference of a league, that's typically fine. But if you're a really big fan, I don't think you can be a diehard fan of two teams. And I'm just admitting on the like, my grandparents moved to Arizona when I was pretty young, and my immediate family moved to Tampa a few years ago, and I didn't have any hockey loves before that. And so I've got split allegiances. I've been to 2 hockey games in Tampa now and 0 in Phoenix, or I guess Glendale. And it may stay that way, it seems, which is a bummer. And it just is what it is. You literally cannot shame me for sort of rooting for 2 NHL teams because I don't care enough to feel shame about it.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Also, both teams have some very good throwback jerseys that I do own. And so I feel fine about all of that. But this is wild. I'm not sure. For all of the weird, convoluted conversations we've had about cities paying for stadiums or arenas to be built, and public money versus private money, and teams relocating for different reasons, and teams wanting better facilities, and cities having to pass some public money to do that. All of that stuff it usually swirls around for a little bit and then ultimately kind of disappears into a fog because no one, if there's any space where sports? Hi, welcome to Almost Entirely Sports. If there's any spot where sports journalism, I think, is lacking, it is throughout the business side of it. Not that no one is doing it well, but there's so much we don't know about the money that owners throughout sports make. The money that goes into these public stadiums. There was the story a while back about owners and their taxes. Like, there was just a thing recently that Mina Kimes tweeted about. I think it was Stephen Ross and his taxes and all. Like, there is a wealth of stuff in there, but I don't think that your average fan cares very much. But also, your average fan didn't care about salary caps very much 5 or 10 years ago, I would think. And now it's a real part of how we talk about sports, at least on this show. So anyway, the financial stuff usually just sort of goes away in a mist. But if December 23rd comes and I can't watch my beloved Arizona Coyotes go up against my beloved Tampa Bay Lightning because they've been locked out of their arena, that's bonkers. What happens if they get to that point? Do the Coyotes play all road games? Could their opponents accommodate that? Would they want to? Probably if you like the ticket sales, whatever. Is the team completely out of Arizona if that happens? If they reach that point, it seems like it's probably trending that way anyway, just because it feels like there's a Coyotes-based Arizona fighting element of a story that comes out every 3 months about this hockey team. And also, I bring it up here in particular because they're Coyotes in the Midwest. They wouldn't even have to change the name. In fact, I would hope they did. I would hope they wouldn't, just because that Southwestern version of their logo that they fully brought back is so good. But there's a big, shiny, newly pink arena downtown here that could definitely put a little ice on the ground.
It could.
I assume that Kansas City isn't as high up on most of these relocation lists as we all want them to be. We all want it to be, us to be, whatever.
We're number one, especially for basketball. Seattle won't get a team before us. Never. What kind of history do they have?
And I really I think that if the NBA were to expand by 2, I think Seattle and Vegas are really tough to beat.
Vegas doesn't. They don't even want. They don't want professional sports teams there. The gambling.
But Vegas already has the hockey team, so Vegas isn't going to swoop in there. Seattle just got a hockey team.
Never heard of them.
The NHL has expanded to those markets, but if somebody needs a home, we can get you guys the keys to T-Mobile Center. Listen. You know what? The Raptors had to play in Tampa last year. Coyotes, why don't you just, if it doesn't work out in Arizona, why don't you just come over? I'm not saying anything's going to happen.
A little test drive.
Just come over.
See what you like.
Play your home games here. We're going to give you room and board. You just help us pay, some of the bills there because you're going to bring all these people into the stadium. And let's just see how it feels. I know the team's not very good right now. In Kansas City, we have learned how to support bad professional teams.
Oh boy, have we.
We could take one more. Let us be here for the rebuild. Also, unironically, not that any of that was ironic. I actually meant all of that. I guess it would depend on how much I was working or how much people around me expected me to be able to talk about hockey like in an educated way.
Good point.
But if everyone just was like, hey, let's just all be cool about this for a little bit, where you don't have to work, but you want to go, I would probably go to I might go to half a dozen hockey games. Renee had a great time in Tampa. I've had a great time in Tampa twice. It is a good in-person viewing experience. I've been to a couple of Mavericks games here.
I've only been to one NHL game, and I had a blast.
Where did you go to an NHL game?
Avalanche. When I went up to Denver to watch the Nuggets play. The Avalanche were in town there before, so watched the Avalanche play the Predators.
Now, look, as a diehard, lifelong, formerly Phoenix, now Arizona, formerly Phoenix, now Arizona Coyotes fan, I would, of course, have to boycott the team for leaving my town of Glendale whenever they come to Kansas City. But as a lifelong Kansas City, and I would obviously be thrilled for the. I would have a lot of very conflicting emotions. I wouldn't. I'd be stoked. It would be awesome. And if you haven't gone to a hockey game, go to a Mavericks game up in Independence, or join or sign my change.org petition. You go to change.org/. This isn't a real URL. I can't believe you thought that was a real URL.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Oh, fair.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I'm sticking with hockey for a second here because Chaotic Warrior had an absolute rat-a-tat-tat of comments on the Twitch saying he thinks it's Quebec, likely won't happen, KC and Houston as potential relocation markets there. Putting another team in Texas, I don't know, man. The warm weather hockey thing is sort of weird, but here's the other thing. And he also notes that the Coyotes are embarrassing both on and off the ice, and that is absolutely true. They legitimately seem to be an inept franchise. They're not even paying their rent. I can pay my rent. You're a professional hockey team. But one thing that I wish I would have even thought to mention before this story popped up today, to mention again about Tampa Bay. For us to go for Renee and I to go to the game whenever we were down there, my parents drove us to a ferry. We got onto a boat, took like a 45-minute boat ride across the bay, then got dropped off basically outside the stadium off the boat, went to the game, had dinner before, came back out, hung out, got back on a boat, went back to our original spot. A great experience there. The entire boat is only running on that day because of the Lightning game. It is filled with Lightning jerseys. Everyone on that boat is going to or from the Lightning game. Tampa Bay is not like a hockey magnet as far as I could tell, and they have created such a good community and fan base around this hockey team there in a way that, like, genuinely, now, and I've gone twice, makes me think that Kansas City could do an excellent job in doing something a lot like that. So if I'm just saying, Coyotes, just come check out the place. Bye, Mom!
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hi, it's Tamara Day from HGTV's Bargain Mansions. Life moves fast. When you're house hunting, remodeling, and more, make the most of your time by contacting local lender Nutter Home Loans. I trust these home loan experts who have been independently owned for over 70 years. Ask about their no-cost home loan pre-approval or cash